for money from a snake breeding business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case number 212, Duenas versus Cho.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duenas, it looks to me from your papers that you decided to go into a business with someone.
Yes.
With whom?
With the defendant, Brian Chow.
And you know him how?
He's a family friend.
And you know what his business is?
Yes.
What is his business?
He currently sells reticulated pythons, snakes, exotic animals, monitors, lizards.
And you like those things?
My ex-boyfriend did.
Did you?
I was more for the investment part.
Okay.
I was the investor at the time.
At the time you reached out to this family friend who was in the exotic snake business, your idea was to create a business.
No, Your Honor. It was actually the defendant's idea.
I don't care whose idea it was. Your idea was to create a business with your ex-boyfriend.
I agreed to the business, but it wasn't our idea.
Whether you agreed to the business or not, you invested money in the business.
Yes.
Which means that unless there's something wrong with you, and I see that there is not, you wanted to go into business with the defendant.
Yes.
So let's be easy.
Okay.
And at the time that you wanted to go into business with the defendant, I'll get to what the nature of that business was in a second. I know it had something to do with that wonderful-looking snake. You had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And the boyfriend liked snakes.
Yes.
And you went along with the ride.
Yes.
What month and year were you still with the boyfriend when you decided to go into the business, which you will explain to me?
Back in November of 2019.
So right before COVID.
Yes.
What was your boyfriend doing at the time?
He was working at an airport.
And he and Mr. Cho were friends?
Yes.
How long had you known him?
2-3 weeks, Your Honor.
Where did you meet him?
He came into my store and acquired
I didn't ask you anything. That's how you met him?
Yes.
I'm going to get through this case and get this lovely thing out of the courtroom as quickly as I possibly can. Well, some people find them exotic and gorgeous. I find them a little bit squirmy. So in November 2019, boyfriend and you decided to go into the business. Explain the business that you invested in.
I invested on 5 reticulated pythons, 1 male and 4 females. That was the original deal.
And what were you going to do with them?
Mr. Brian Chow was going to have it in his shop, and together we were going to breed them and make a profit out of them.
So the intention was never for you to take these pythons to your residence?
No.
And you understood that? No.
They're buying the snake, Your Honor.
Okay. How much were the 5 snakes?
In total, it was $10,000, plus the feeding and the cages that he claimed that the snakes needed.
Was it your agreement that for $10,000, Ms. Duenas and the boyfriend were going to buy 1 male snake and 4 females?
They decided to buy 2 snakes.
Well, when was that decision made, sir?
A week after I met him, because
When you went into the shop, did you ultimately decide on 1 male, 1 female?
No, so how it is, Your Honor, is he knew my ex-boyfriend prior to the business 5 years ago. He sold him a exotic Australian monitor lizard.
Okay, what I want you to tell me is, did there come a time when the arrangement changed, so instead of 1 male and 4 females, you were supposed to get 1 male and 1 female?
No, Your Honor. The whole way, it was supposed to be 1 male and 4 females.
Do you have any sort of a receipt for that?
We have Instagram conversations.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Cassandra hands a laptop to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews a message thread on the computer.
1 male, 4 females. The guy's asking $15,000 for all, and then he says, I'll drop it to 12. Then somebody, I don't have 12 now. I just spent a lot on my monitor. Let's go the rest. Okay, so you say, I don't have that money now. He says, I'm getting 16 lace monitors. You remember that discussion? And then that's a big investment for me right now. I'm saving up to get a house, but I'm down to breed my monitor with any of your monitors. Keep going. So far, I don't have a contract. And then somebody says, no, you pay half and I pay half. Who wrote that?
He did.
No, you pay half and I pay half. Then you say 6,000. I'm short 6,000. I want to get them, but I'm low on cash till next month. And that's from you. That's from the reptile.
I have to say it, Your Honor.
Okay. If I invest half with you, what will be my return and in how long? Think about it. Will be the baby's mix price. JTK Reptiles, that's you. Somebody's on their way. That's you and your boyfriend?
Yes. We were on our way to give him the money.
And how much money were you going to give him?
We gave him the first time $6,000 and then $4,000, a total of $10,000.
You received that.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you purchase with the $10,000?
If you look at the message from there, what she showed you is they pay half of the 5 snake. It means they get 2 of the snake, and I get 2 of the snake. They've been lying to you guys since day one. They want to purchase 2 snake. Then I told them, like, if you look at the message, I can use my male to breed it to your female. It's an investment for you guys, not for us. It's no us. It's not with them at all.
Mr. Cho, were they supposed to take possession of the snakes?
They're supposed to pick up the snake. That's why they come to the store with it.
Which snakes were they supposed to take possession of?
One right here and one out there.
Is that a male or a female?
This is the female.
Has she had babies yet?
No, I don't breed her because she don't belong to me.
And how old is she?
Right now, she should be about 6 years old, going 7.
How long do they live?
Over 30 to 40 years, depends on how you take care of them, like I take care of them.
And there's another one outside the
Yes.
courtroom that's the same as this one.
Yes.
Also a female?
Yes.
And you gave him the $10,000. He acknowledges the $10,000. So we have a verbal contract that you were going to pay for some snakes. He was going to order the snakes
Yes.
for you, which he did. And that was accomplished, and the payment for the snakes was done on what date, the first payment?
Approximately in November of 2019.
And when was the next $4,000 payment?
The same month, I would say like a week.
Good. And when did you order the snakes, Mr. Chow?
Right after I get
The 10th.
Yeah, because I cannot just acquire the animal without the payment.
Okay. So now you've got the payment and you order the animals.
Yes.
On what date do they arrive?
2 days after, their FedEx delivered to my shop.
And when did you notify the plaintiff that they were there?
The day that they came, I tell them the snake is
So
ready
it was
for-
also in November, sometime
Yes.
in November. And when did they arrive?
The snake
No.
arrived? Oh.
The plaintiff and the boyfriend.
They arrived a week after I notify the boyfriend.
Okay. Now, Ms. Duenas, a week later you went to the shop. And what happened when you went to the shop? Now he's got $10,000 and he's got 2 snakes.
I just want to clarify, Your Honor, that we even gave him money for the tanks because here in the conversations it says that he can't continue having them in tubs. So he needs us to give him money to invest to buy the tanks to house the snakes. So our original plan was for him to keep the snakes because he has the shop. We, at the time, lived in an apartment. He was well aware of this, that we couldn't have big snakes in our apartment.
He says no, you say yes. I'm not sure how I can resolve that. I'm trying to simplify this contract.
Cassandra nods. Caption coming up.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Video footage.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money.
I don't care. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out.
Judy's eyes widen. Cassandra's eyes fill with tears. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Cassandra and Brian.
Cassandra Duenas claims exotic pet store owner Brian Chow owes her money for a snake breeding business. Brian says Cassandra changed her mind about the business after he purchased the snakes.
Okay. Part of the contract was fulfilled because you paid him. Then he ordered the snakes. Second part was fulfilled. I want you to tell me what happened when you went to see the snakes. You say to see them. He says to pick them up. A week later.
So when we went to the shop,
Who
what
went?
led us to
Who went?
My ex-boyfriend and I. What led us to there is because after he obtained the snakes, He was not reaching out back to us. He was
Just a week later.
Yes.
You went to the shop. He notified you that the snakes were there. There's no question about that. Now, you went to the shop for what purpose?
because he switched it and then he said it was 2 snakes when originally the plan was 1 male and 4 females. That 1 male was going to breed with the 4. So right out the back, he lied to us what our agreement was here, that he clearly texted us and said 4 males and 1 female. So it was 5 snakes. So we went to the shop.
But there was a problem there with pricing. In the Instagram messages, a suggestion, because some of the texts were unavailable. He said originally they were $15,000. And then there was some discussion of $12,000. And then there was some discussion of $6,000. He says he'll pay half and you pay half. And there, I can imagine that there was some sort of an agreement for you to keep the snakes if you were going to pay half. You were always supposed to give them the snakes. Why would you pay half?
Then they get the 2 of the snake, and I get the 2 of the other snake. It's 5 of them. And the one that we're gonna pretty much, they can have it if they want it, or I can use it when I need it.
You mean the male?
Yes.
So that was the business. Anyway, you went there, and what happened?
So I went in recording. My ex-boyfriend told me, hey, record.
Don't tell me what your ex-boyfriend told you.
Okay.
Just tell me you went in and what happened.
We went in there and we asked him, hey, we agreed on 5 snakes. Now you switched up and you said now it's 2 snakes. First you told us it was $15,000, then $12,000. You were playing games with us the whole time. And at this point, after a week later that he said that he got the snakes, then he told us it was 2 snakes. At that point, we were upset because we had planned and we had counted with 5 snakes. That's why we gave him that ridiculous amount of money. And basically, we didn't want nothing else to do with him. We wanted our money back. And that's what we went for, our money back.
Just a second. Yes. So you walked in wanting your money back?
Yes.
Do you have any text messages, Instagram messages, suggesting that before you got there, you had said to him, we changed our mind, we don't want to be in business with you, we want our money back?
No.
Nothing?
No. He wasn't reaching out, sorry, Your Honor, he wasn't reaching out to us. He was sending him video calls, he was calling him through text message, my ex-boyfriend.
I don't care. You paid the money, he got snakes. The question is, you think there's supposed to be more than 2? He says 2. More were more money. So the ultimate agreement was for 2. So what happened when you went there? You're there with your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you say, I want my money back. And he says?
He says, I don't have the money here. I have 2 snakes here.
Are you telling me that he didn't call you and say your snakes are in? Is that what you're suggesting? Do you have an invoice for these snakes, Mr. Chow?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the invoice for the snakes.
Brian hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
By the way, your boyfriend has other of these exotic
Wire
creatures. Is that
transfer
right?
to the people that I get them.
What kind of exotic creatures does he have?
One that he sold him, an Australian water monitor from the Philippines.
And?
He has 2 rhino iguanas, a pair. He has a, I don't know the name, but it changes colors.
Judy reviews the document.
Mr. Chow?
Yes.
This is a wire transfer, May 24th, 2018. And the date of this wire transfer is August of 2018.
And those are for the lace monitor that
Are these lace monitors?
Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor, these are not lace monitors. These are reticulated pythons. These are not monitors. Monitors are lizards. These are snakes.
Lace monitor bell face.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not that.
No, Your Honor.
Well, these are useless.
Yes, but that's connected to the rest of what they did.
What does it have to do with these 2 snakes? What I want to see is when you purchased these 2 snakes.
Yeah, I don't have it, Your Honor.
Well, get it. What do you mean you don't have it?
I left it at home. I'm so sorry.
Well, what'd you bring these for?
Those are the time that they both got arrested when they went to my shop.
Yeah, but you now have those back, right?
Yes.
You have those back. So if you had to take documents, why didn't you take the documents for the snakes in question? The lace monitor lizards aren't in question. You have them back. They may have taken them. They were arrested, and you finally got them back. So I don't understand that.
I just mistaken grabbed the wrong paper.
Well, Mr. Chow, do you deal with these people regularly, that you buy snakes from them regularly?
Not really. Depends on the size of the animal and depends what kind of animal.
Well, you have the date of purchase someplace, Mr. Chow, and I don't want you to waste my time.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's why I just said I don't have it, Your Honor.
Did they purchase that kind of snake?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
It was 5 snakes, Your Honor.
Don't give me 5. That type of snake.
Oh, yes, the reticulated python, yes.
And the one that's outside is the same, correct?
Yes.
And you did not purchase baby snakes.
No.
You wanted full-grown snakes because they were a business. You wanted them able to be breeding. Okay. Should have brought the paperwork. And you went in there that day in November because you had changed your mind.
Yes, and on top, yes.
Because you had changed your mind.
Yes.
That's the answer. You had changed your mind. You can give me a whole bunch of excuses, and you told him you changed your mind, you want your money back. And he said no, because I ordered the snakes, and I got them in, and they're yours. Contract is completed. I'm merely holding your property. And then there was a kerfuffle. And tell me about the kerfuffle.
The issue was that it was going back to what I was saying is then we asked him as well, can we have like receipt? How much did you really pay for them?
No, that's not your business. That's not your business, how much you really paid for them. He made a deal, you paid him. If he got them for $2,000 and you paid him $10,000, that's nothing. The kerfuffle, let's draw this down to its most simple English. Mm-hmm. You wanted your money back, and you wanted to cancel this contract.
Yes, it's just when we arrived, those weren't the snakes that we ordered. These were the breed of it, is the ones that he was putting here on Instagram, which I have, which is not those. So we ordered something, and we got something else. So
is what you're telling me, you went there to pick up your... Because now it's changed. You went there to pick up your snakes. Mm-hmm. When you got there, they turned out to be a different...
It's breed. It's like the...
Pythons, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're pythons, but it was a different kind of python.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're telling me because it was a different python, you wanted your money back.
Yes, because it wasn't what we paid for. It's like we paid for a Ferrari and we got a Toyota, basically. It's basically
You know nothing about pythons, so... You're taking your cues from your boyfriend because that's his strong suit. Is it yours as well?
No, I'm just the investor.
Right. So your boyfriend had a conversation with him and said, those aren't the snakes that I ordered.
Yes.
Okay. And I want my money back.
Yes.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Brian shakes his head. Caption coming up.
And when he broke the glass, where did he take them?
He put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's fine. That's a co-conspirator.
Cassandra's eyes fill with tears. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Cassandra and Brian.
Cassandra Duenas is accusing exotic pet store owner Brian Chow of wrongfully keeping money for a snake breeding business. Brian says he fulfilled their agreement and claims Cassandra stole property from his store.
And you said you recorded all this?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. You just press play.
Which one?
Right here. And then you press that.
This one?
Yes.
Kevin brings a laptop to Judy.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Subtitles. So you guys want to do the money then?
Yeah. The $10,180 in total, and then money on top of that for lending you the money and everything.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because we didn't see this coming. You just kept on giving us a runaround and a runaround.
Oh, no, what?
About the mail. Remember that?
No, that's why I'm waiting for the mail to be delivered. I don't have the mail.
Yeah, but remember you had told us that the guy had it because he had to leave and he had to gut out because he has surgery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We gave you the money right there and then. You don't understand what mission we had to go
I
through.
didn't know. I don't mind getting you guys your money back, but I don't have cash right now. You guys caught me by surprise.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to do it today though. Like we need our money today.
If you want it right now, I don't have it.
We told you we want to do business correct, and you just keep on giving us another day and another day.
You told us as soon as we give you the money, the snake was gonna be here.
Yeah, it's not about me, it's the guy. It's not me. I'm just buying the snake from a different guy.
And then another thing where you messed up, you said 5 snakes for $6,000, and you come at me with 4 and you wasted my money.
Yeah, and I told you that he gave me only 4 snake, the big giant.
And why would you waste money if I told you to get the 5 snakes?
If you worry about the last one, I can pay for it. It's a meal that we don't need.
But I have to do all this, so I have to get like this for you to do that?
No, bro.
How can I trust you now?
Bro, the 4 snake is right here. You,
Don't
no,
even-
I'm
don't.
gonna go get something. What's wrong with you, bro? I'm just asking you. Let's talk.
No, we're not gonna talk. I told you don't with me.
I don't talk with you, bro.
Dog.
Why? What's
that's
wrong?
Because we gave you a lot of money. We're talking about over $10,000, and you're just giving us the runaround. First, you told us 5
This is what we
snakes.
can do. I'll take it. And when you get the money, I'll give it back. Yeah, female too.
Oh, no.
Oh, no? All right. Well,
Come on, bro. You're looking at a
I
15
don't care.
grand.
I told you don't play with me.
I don't play with
You
you.
don't even have the money right now.
up, man.
I get the half of the money.
Open them
I'm trying to talk to you, bro.
No, there's no more talking because we gave you the money right here and then. That's unprofessional. You're trying to scam us, and you don't do that to people like
I
that.
didn't. How did I scam you?
Before I open it.
You're telling me that you don't have the money.
I have half of the money because I'm waiting for the snake. Bro, if you guys gonna get arrested. If you guys
There's
take
no
something.
arresting. We're just getting what you took from us. Over $10,000.
I'm trying to talk
Over
to you.
$10,000.
I'm trying to talk to
No, we try to talk to you. You're telling us you're gonna have the money. I have everything in video.
I don't
Okay?
care. You can record me, bro.
All right, so are you gonna
You
open
don't
it?
play with people's money. You can call
You owe me
whoever you
over
want.
$15,000.
This is 15 grand.
We don't care.
Can you call a cop, please?
All right, watch out. Back away.
Cassandra's ex-boyfriend smashes a glass cage.
I told you don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money. He
I don't care.
Get out, 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 get out.
Let them alone.
Subtitles. He owes us money.
He owes us money. He owes us money.
Subtitles. They're gonna deal with that with the police.
Now I'll play that video, please.
Video footage of Cassandra's ex-boyfriend reaching into a glass cage.
That's your boyfriend breaking into the...
Yes.
Yes. And when he broke the glass and took out whatever lizards he took out with him, where did he take them? You were still with him.
Yes, he put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's all right. That's fine. That's a co-conspirator. Ultimately, the lizards that you took were returned to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it seems, Mr. Chow, at the beginning of this case, I must acknowledge to you that I was sympathetic to your position, that they had ordered snakes. You ordered them, you got them,
Yes, Your Honor.
and then the contract is completed. Uncross your arms.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
But it's clear from the tape that the plaintiff played for me that you acknowledged that you did not fulfill your end of the contract, that you were blaming your inability to fulfill your end of the contract on some third party. Is that what I heard in the tape? I mean, you know, my hearing's not really acute, but that's what you said. I have no control. I can give you back half your money, but I can't give you back all your money. So the contract was not complete.
It was complete because they supposed to get only 2 snakes.
I didn't see anywhere where it says just 2 snakes. There was a whole bunch of conversation there about the male snake, and you were supposed to deliver to them the male snake. And you said, I don't have that money now, but I can get that money for you. I can give you the first money. I don't have the second money. It was clear that the contract was not complete unless you have something to show me that it was. But what I heard, it was not. That doesn't mean that Ms. Duenas has the right to break your property and to steal property that belongs to you. What they do is they come into a court and say, you have my money. The contract was not fulfilled. I want my money back. That's what you do. Are you in the business of breeding snakes for your store?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if we were to go on the internet now,
Yes, Your Honor.
how much would one of those snakes, which is 6 or 7 years old, according to you, sell for?
Right now, this size, you're looking at it about 6,000 to 7,000 each one.
But if you troll the internet of people who actually like those creatures in their house, for whatever reason, if you put up that snake on the internet for sale, how fast would it take you to sell it?
I'll say like about a month and a half.
They're rare.
Yes.
Is that right? That's what you're saying.
It's rare and is just not a lot of people will acquire that much money.
Even though they can sell the babies. And how many babies do they have?
In a year, they can do from 30 to 50.
And each one of the 30 to 50, you can sell for $3,500.
Yeah.
I suggest you do that. She gets her $10,000 back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Cassandra, then Brian.
I'm very happy, and I'm happy that she was able to see herself that the defendant got caught in multiple lies.
They're just a customer.
He wasn't truthful since the beginning. Ever since we invested.
They bought a snake. I just want to give their snake, but they don't want to take it.
And it's very sad how nowadays you can't trust in anybody.
Sarah and Judy.
I think one great lesson that a lot of people can take away from that is you have to know the business that you're investing in. I can appreciate she was sort of doing it for her boyfriend and he had the knowledge about the exotic animals, but that's her money at the end of the day. And if you're going to put your own hard-earned money on the line, it should be a business that you at least put in the time to learn about.
To understand.
Exactly, so that you don't have to rely on somebody else to make the right decisions.
Who's going to be gone tomorrow?
Exactly, exactly.
And your money
who potentially could, and then you're left on your own, having to sue and navigate a field that you really know nothing about.
Smart. And it was also an example of a contract that was not fully executed. I actually thought when I started the case that there was an offer, an acceptance, you performed, paid the money, got the snakes, and then you can't change your mind. Once you get it, you say, well, I changed my mind. But that's not what happened.
Nope.
And her video demonstrated that that's not what happened because Mr. Chow started to waft. Well, it's not my fault I don't have your mail. It's another guy, and I would give it to you, but I can't give it to you as soon as I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So he did not deliver on the contract. So I had very little compulsion other than to say, you don't have to take the snake and you get your money back.
Yeah.
Anyway, done. Yeah. And the snake is gone.
Left the building.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to Judy Justice's friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, for a personal loan, car damages, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2056, Garrett versus Codio scenario.
Thank you. Miss Garrett, this gentleman, Michael Codia, is that
correct? Miss.
Codia?
Yes.
You and Mr. Codia have been lifelong friends, according to what I read in the complaint. Lifelong, you're both very young. How do you know him?
Well, we used to ride bikes together. His mom used to also braid my hair when I was a child every Sunday.
But you and Mr. Codia were never involved in any relationship other than just friendship?
No.
And Mr. Codia, Miss Serrano is currently your girlfriend.
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
She had been your girlfriend and been living with you for a while, and you have a child together.
Yes, correct. Well, she's currently pregnant. We're expecting, they're expecting.
Great. You had a fight with Miss Serrano, and that was around June of this year?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was a substantial enough fight that Miss Serrano left the home, and she left the home with your child. And how old is your child?
As I was saying, we are expecting.
So you don't have a child together?
She's 6 months pregnant, currently.
Okay. So you're just living, and she left?
Correct.
At about the same time, Miss Garrett, your friend, needed a place to stay.
I wouldn't say needed a place to stay, but...
What would you say?
It was more like, I kind of had a clue, like she had a place to stay, but it was just one of those situations.
No, look over here. Look over here. Okay.
Sorry.
Now, Mr. Codia, I want you to understand there are very few stories that are new under the sun. I want you to really understand that. I have children. I have grown grandchildren, boys and girls. I've seen all the movies that I want to see about romance and guys. So your girlfriend leaves you.
Yeah.
Yes. And would it be fair to say that you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay with you?
Yes, it would be fair.
Had you ever invited her to come and stay with you before?
No, I have not. Not in the current apartment that I'm staying in right now, no.
Had you in another apartment?
No.
So the answer is you had never invited your friend to come and stay with you before?
No.
Interesting. So on June 27th, she left. On what date did you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay in your apartment?
June 16th.
June 16th?
Yes.
So 11 days before Miss Serrano left?
Miss Serrano left about a week prior to her coming.
What date did you leave, Miss Serrano? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I recall it was the end of, or mid-June of this year, I would say. I had personal things going on, so I really wasn't, you know.
Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to ask you why you left.
We had a falling out. Me and Michael had a falling out.
Yes. What did you and Michael have a falling out about?
Well, at the time, my mother was in the hospital, so that it was a disagreement surrounding having to move back home and take care of her in the household.
And
that was pretty much it.
Well, what did he say? He said he didn't want you to, and you...
Yeah, he pretty much, long story short, didn't want me to move back to my mother's house, so that caused, you know...
Okay, so he wanted you to stay?
Yes. Yes, he wanted me to stay, but, you know...
He wanted you to stay. Now, did you know that the two of you were expecting at that time in June?
Yes.
So he knew that you were expecting a baby, that you wanted to go back to your mother's house because she was ill and you wanted to help take care of her. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And despite the fact that he said, don't go, you left.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went home.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it would be fair to say that he was annoyed.
Yes.
Oh, I'm getting this whole picture now. It's so easy. Okay. And about a week later, he invites this attractive young lady who's been a friend of his for a long time, a non-romantic friend, to move into the apartment.
Yes.
You know that that was nasty, right?
Oh, no, yes, I know.
You know that was nasty.
That was an agreement between them.
No.
You know.
But you know that that was a sort of a nasty thing to do.
Oh, no, I'm fully aware. Yes, ma'am.
I just want you to know what you're sort of dealing with.
Yes,
you know?
I'm fully aware of what I'm dealing with. Thank you, though. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so, Mr. Codia, I wanted to sort of get even a little bit. You invite Miss Garrett to come and move in. No rent or anything, because you didn't have an agreement to pay rent. You weren't going to pay rent or anything, and you moved in. And you moved in on?
I moved in on the 1st.
On the 1st of?
July.
July 1st. Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to come back to you because this is such a fascinating story.
Oh, Lord.
Such a fascinating story. And he deserves to get dumped on a little bit.
Oh, there's more where that came from, yes. I said that's more where that came from, yes.
Okay. And between the time you left and July 1st, when Miss Garrett was invited to come to stay at the house, were you in communication with Mr. Codia?
Yes. I would say like every day or every other day we spoke, you know, arguments, you know how it is.
Yeah. Well, you know, first of all, you're pregnant and you have emotions, and then you're taking care of family members and whatever. And so I got it. Did he tell you that Miss Garrett was moving in?
Yes.
When?
I would say I found out around like the 27th, 28th.
Of June?
Yes.
Tell me how you found out that she was moving in.
I believe at that point she was already moved in at that point.
Okay. And what made you think that?
Just based off of how the conversation went or how he told me.
Tell me what he told you.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean.
Nashera smirks. Caption, coming up.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance on him.
Not getting on the food.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too, wow.
I'm waiting for it to come over here.
Yes.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Nashera, Michael, and Brianna.
Nashera Garrett claims her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, owe for a personal loan and an assault.
Tell me what he told you. I'm curious. I want to know.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean. That's what I was told.
Okay, did he tell you who?
Who it was. I never met her.
But he told you who it was?
Yes, he told me who it was.
And that made you, I would probably guess, a little annoyed and unhappy.
I mean, I was annoyed.
I would be annoyed.
I mean, I was annoyed because I had personal things going on, but in between that time before actually realizing that she was living at my apartment, I actually had a brief interaction with her. I met her at a park. I met her. So...
Between the time you moved out?
Yes.
Okay. Was it you met because you contacted each other, or you met by accident?
We met because me and Michael just, you know, had a conversation to have had at that point in time. I'm assuming she was there in the area, so he just wanted to kill two birds with one stone. He said, do you want to meet the person, you know, who's there, who I'm living with, and that's how it went.
And was it a cordial meeting?
Yes, it was.
You met her, she met you?
Yes.
And he said, I just want you to meet the lovely-looking girl that I'm now living with because you went home to take care of your mother.
I guess so, if you wouldn't have put it...
Yes, he...
Don't forget.
This is what your case is about. First, you claim that you loaned Mr. Codia $750 for rent.
Yes.
And you did that because he said once Miss Serrano moved out, she wasn't paying her rent. He was short on rent. That's what I read here. Mr. Codia has a whole different story. He said while he told you that he was a little short on rent and he was going to have to get a third job.
That's not true.
Just a second. You jumped in and offered to give him $750. That's what you wrote here. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. Codia, did you tell Miss Serrano that somebody was moving into the apartment just to cook and clean? That's what she says.
Yes, that's exactly my words. Exactly my words, yeah.
That's exactly what you told her.
Correct.
You didn't tell Miss Serrano, the soon-to-be mother of your child, that you had a roommate who was paying rent.
I did not.
Miss Serrano, what kind of work were you doing when you were living together in June?
I had a work-from-home position, will still currently do as a Medicaid specialist.
Were you sharing rent with him?
Yes. Everything was 50-50.
Did you pay him any rent in July?
No, I did not.
Did you pay him rent in June?
Yes.
So you paid him the $750. That was your share of the rent? Is that what your share was?
That was my share of the rent. June was already paid for. July I did not pay because I did not believe I was going to be there.
Okay. Tell me what he said to you that caused you to give him this $750.
Well, he texted me one morning and said that Brianna was no longer going to pay her half of the rent as of July, and that if he could...
You were living there already?
Yes. And if I give him $750, he would give it back to me. And we never discussed anything about me cooking or cleaning. I actually brought groceries, which he said that he would pay me back for, too, while I'm staying there.
Okay. So you were actually there for 5 days, is that right?
About 5 days.
5, 6 days. And at some point around the first week in July, July 5th, 6th, or 7th, you came to the apartment.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We had went inside the apartment.
Who's we?
Michael and I, sorry. Michael
so
and
you
I
were
went...
so you weren't staying there. Where had you met him?
We actually met at work. We've been together for a year and a half.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But you came home to the apartment together, and that was, I think, on the 7th of July.
Yes.
On the 7th of July. Where had you been? You'd been out. You hadn't been staying in the apartment.
Oh, no, yeah. I was out actually just going to rosaries and stuff like that. I actually went to go pick him up after a family function from work. After picking him up from work, we went back to the apartment, went upstairs.
Was that the first time you had been back to the apartment?
No.
Since you left?
Since I left, I've been there on and off. Like, not on and off, but like every other couple days. But I've been there, not living there, but I've been there spending the night and, you know.
Have you ever, when you were there, have you seen Miss Garrett?
Nope, but I've seen her belongings, though.
Okay. But you knew she was there because he told you that she was there.
Exactly.
So on the 7th, you picked him up, you went back to the apartment, and you'd been there before, but you had never actually physically seen her in the apartment.
Correct.
Despite the fact that you knew she was there.
Correct.
Because you'd been introduced to her.
Correct.
Okay. And what happened?
So we went upstairs. She seen that I was with him, and I guess that must have made her mad.
No, just tell me what happened.
So there was an argument.
Tell me what the argument was.
I don't even know what the argument was, honestly. She just seen me, and then there was an argument that unfolded about what I still don't know still to this day.
Okay. So now, Miss Garrett, they came home, and...
Okay, so them two never came in the apartment together at all that night and previously.
No, just tell me that night.
Oh, that night. So me and Michael discussed that, hey, listen, things are not working out. He has had multiple people in and out his house, and he was making me very uncomfortable, as well as Miss Serrano popping up.
So what do you say? He's had multiple people in the house?
Guys, women every night. I would sleep in the park. One night I slept in the park because he had Miss Serrano popping up at 3 o'clock in the morning, her throwing my things around, telling me to get out the house. So I had to go in my car and go sleep in the park. And we had conversations that night when it happened, when she popped up. Hey, can I go sleep?
What date was that?
It was, I want to say July the 2nd or the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the 7th?
Right.
Okay. And that's when you went out and slept in the park?
Yes.
Just a second. Mr. Cody, you remember that evening?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that evening on July 2nd or 3rd, Ms. Serrano was around, and they don't get along.
They do not.
Which is exactly what you anticipated.
Of course.
When you invited her to stay with you.
Sadly.
Absolutely right. Going to have two women fight over the prize, the grand prize. Okay. Did you take $750 from her?
No, I did not.
Did you? I didn't ask you with a loan.
Yes,
I didn't ask you. She has proof that she gave it to you.
Yes, she
Okay, so let's not play. Did you take $750 from her?
I did.
So it goes back to her. That's $750. Now we're going to get to what she alleges is the remainder of her lawsuit, which is damages for assault. Okay. On the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes.
Caption coming up.
You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites someone, a woman, to come into the house because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Nashera, Michael, and Brianna.
Nashera Garrett has accused her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, of damaging her car and assaulting her.
Now, on the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes. So that evening, I went into the house, and he had his witness, Darius, there. And
this person?
Yes. And me and Michael had conversations about him before, and I just thought it wasn't a good influence. So that evening, I walked in the house, and I'm sorry, let me back that up. I asked Michael if he's gonna have men come in the house, could he please be there while I'm there with them? Because I didn't feel comfortable. He said yes. So when I walked in that evening and saw Darius there, I texted Michael and said, Michael, we need to have another talk, because every talk we have, I'm thinking that we're having understandings, but we're not. So, and Darius set up a whole twin-size bed up in the living room. So I went out to my car. I said, Michael, when you get home, I'm in my car, so meet me in my car when you get off. It was around 8:30 when Michael had came, and I was sitting in my car. Me and Michael were talking. And
was he in your car with you?
No. He was outside of my driver's side. So that's when Miss Brianna came, and she started hitting him upside his head. And I tried to get out of the spot that I was in. And next thing I know, my window's down, and she comes and she's attacking me, punching me in my face. She keyed up my car. When she first came up to my window, she keyed my car. Yeah, I can show you.
What? Okay, did you file a police report?
I didn't.
Why?
I just didn't. I took care of my bruises and my scar. I did call 911, but then I hung up. I just didn't. And
Okay. Do you have photographs of your injury?
Yes.
Nashera produces photos, then hands them to Kevin.
There you go.
He brings them to Judy, who reviews them.
So what you're telling me is that this was a scratch across your chest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scratch that was caused by Miss Serrano.
Yes.
And that was in July.
Yes.
Ms. Serrano, I'd like to hear your version of what happened on the 7th of July.
Like I said before, there was just an argument that took place.
I want you to start the argument from the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. She's outside in her car.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is talking to her at the car.
Oh, yeah.
Did you drive over there or did you walk? How did you get there?
I parked my car like in front of the house because they were on the side street. So I walked.
So you walked there?
Exactly.
You parked the car. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Serrano. Yeah. Did Mr. Codia ever give you an indication that Miss Garrett was no longer going to be living there?
Not that I could recall, no.
Well, I want you to try to recall.
I was told after that whole day went, the day after that, the conversation was going to be for her to leave the house.
Okay. And what were you coming over for? What brought you over there at 8 o'clock at night?
For him.
What do you mean for him?
Well, he left something in my car. He left a charger or something. It was something he left in my car that I was returning back to him.
Did you tell him you were coming over?
Nope. I just popped up.
The answer is no.
No.
You were curious.
Yes, I was. Of course I was.
There you were.
I'm sorry.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance
Crazy.
on him.
That's getting on me too.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too, wow.
I'm waiting for it to come over here.
Judy with a fly swatter.
Did you seek medical treatment?
I did not.
Mr. Cody, I'm going to wrap up this case because I really understand it. I believe I understand it. What I don't understand is why, and this doesn't require an answer, it's sort of a rhetorical question, why you would want to take someone who had been a lifelong friend and someone with whom you are having a child and put either one or both of them in a situation so they don't know each other really, so they don't know whether to like each other or whether not to like each other. I mean, I assume that at this point you would, at least Miss Serrano was planning a long-term relationship with you, and she's having a child, and I assume she thinks you're going to be there to be supportive of the child. Maybe. You have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have another son.
Okay, how old?
5 years old, 5.
And he lives with his mother?
Yes, he does.
So you see.
Yes. There you go.
Judy raises her fly swatter.
This one's a pesky one. I'm usually good at it. I missed it before.
Whitney grins.
I don't know why you would put them in a situation where they would dislike each other all to satisfy your ego.
Wow.
Oh, that's exactly what you did. You put them in a position where two apparently nice ladies, both of whom care about you in different ways, you put them, well, do you care about him?
Yes.
You think she cares about him?
I've never, the entire time I was with him.
They just know each other for a long time.
It was way before me, so I guess if you would have put it like that.
And they also went to
Just
senior
a second.
prom together.
Just a second.
Wow, like
I didn't ask you.
I'm
listen
sorry,
to me.
Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. This is not a shout out. What I'm telling you is it goes to his character. He knows her for a long time. They never had a romantic relationship. With you, he's had a romantic relationship. You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites a woman to come into the house, lets you know about it, because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that. That doesn't make him a good guy. So I want you to think about that. But I absolutely believe that you caused a scratch on her, which you can't do. Anyway, Mr. Cody, you owe her $750. And Ms. Serrano, you can't put your hands on anybody, no matter how angry you are at them. And I'm awarding her $1,000 for you putting your hands on her. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was very satisfied.
I mean, I knew it would cause havoc, but
Different women every night.
I try to keep it in secret.
And that's why we stopped being friends before, but I definitely learned my lesson.
I feel like it's unfortunate. I feel like she manipulated the whole situation.
The friendship is over.
It's gonna be a father to my child, man.
Sarah.
After working with you now for almost a year, I'm starting to get so jaded from these cases that I'm starting to think that just staying single might be my best option if these are the alternatives. Yeah. Just blows my mind. He admitted to just pitting an old friend and your fiance, who's pregnant with your child, against each other.
To satisfy your ego.
Yes. Sounds like a terrible idea, was a terrible idea, turned out to be a terrible idea, and it'll land you in court on occasion.
You're right, but rethink that staying single part.
Think about it.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to Judy Property Damage and Stolen Belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Gus. Case number 2028, Eliasoff Blanchard versus Blanchard.
Thank you, Kevin.
Welcome.
Eliasoff?
Yes, ma'am.
That's you. How old are you?
19, almost 20.
19.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do?
I am a server.
Since when?
As of June of this year.
This is your boyfriend?
A fiance, yes, ma'am.
Fiance. And how long has he been your fiance?
For over a year.
What does he do for a living?
He is currently unemployed.
When was the last time he had a job?
That was about a year ago.
What kind of work did he do a year ago?
Warehouse work.
Is there any reason that he hasn't worked in a year?
He has concussions and back injuries. And
from what?
From car accidents.
Does he currently have any lawsuits pending with regard to those accidents?
No, ma'am.
So the accidents were your fault?
No, they were the other people's faults.
The other people had no
insurance? The other person didn't have insurance at the time. So later on, he ended up stating that he did have insurance and got out of the ticket.
Do you see a doctor regularly?
Not anymore, no. I used to, though, until I ran out of my insurance for health insurance. And then the bill just kept stacking up on me.
At that time, did you have an attorney?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever have an attorney with regard to, did you ever consult an attorney with regard to these accidents? No.
No.
Okay, fine. Is there any reason why you're not working?
Yes, ma'am. I have bad back problems that I've had for quite some time. I have 4 discs out in my lower back. I also have knee injuries, shoulder injuries. I was pushing my body more than I should have been. I was over 300 pounds working in a heated environment, working every day, and I dropped all the weight, and then I ended up hurting myself even further from there. And then my doctor told me not to do anything over 20 pounds, so I went against her rules, and I did it anyways, and I kept injuring myself.
What kind of work does your father do?
He works as a U-Haul business associate and mechanic as well.
When did you live with your father?
I lived with my father in January, I believe it was 8th.
January of what year?
Of 2022, sorry.
After you have been disabled all this time because of all the heavy work.
Yes.
Let me give a general outline of what this case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
You and your fiancée were living where?
We were living with my father.
No, before you lived with your father.
My father.
Her father.
In what state?
Wyoming.
There come a time when your father either said it's enough or you decided that you were no longer happy in Wyoming?
It was a conflict with his girlfriend that came about.
Whatever it was. If it was a conflict with his girlfriend, your father told you to skedaddle.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And you called your father.
No, I didn't call my father.
Who did?
My father called me.
You mean just out of the blue?
Yeah, he does it at random once in a while.
He just called you at about the same time that your fiancé's father told you to get out.
Yes, is what I believe. Anyways, I've had a few concussions, Your Honor, and I don't remember a lot.
Okay, we're going to get there. In any event, you had a discussion with your father that you didn't have a place to live, you didn't have a job, she didn't have a job, you had no money. Her father was kicking you out of the house, and he drove cross-country to get you.
Yes, ma'am.
In what month?
It was in January.
January of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
How many miles did he drive to come and get you?
I think 1,000 miles, maybe.
Each way?
Each way, probably about 2,000 total, something like that.
Okay, so he drove 2,000 miles to come and get you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he brought you back to his house.
Yes, ma'am.
And you weren't working.
Yes, ma'am.
And the girlfriend wasn't working.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you weren't working, the girlfriend wasn't working, you had no money, so your father was taking care of your expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. And now you're suing him. And you're suing him for a host of things, which I'm going to give you a relatively short time to tell me about. But one of the things that your girlfriend, fiancé says is that your father owes you for wages because you worked for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Doing what?
I was doing U-Haul work, basically.
What is U-Haul work?
Oh, sorry. I'll explain. Sorry, ma'am. Basically, what we do.
Not basically. I don't want to hear basically.
Sorry.
I want to hear what you were doing.
I would hook up U-Hauls. I would also clean and inspect all the vehicles.
Just a second. Hook up the U-Hauls.
Hook up the U-Hauls.
Clean and inspect them.
Clean and inspect them.
What does it involve in cleaning them?
Basically spraying down.
Not basically.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry. We spray down all the.
Not we. You.
Yeah. Sorry. I spray down every single surface of the innards of the vehicle. Basically, the steering wheel, the floor plates, the radio, everything.
And when you hook them up, explain how you hook something up.
How I hook something up is just backing up, lining up with axle.
So you'd have to drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're driving a car and backing up?
Yes, ma'am. And
so,
then,
you're using a rear view mirror?
Yes.
And yourself? You're looking to see where you're backing up because you have to use both?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then you hook them. Well, what else did you do for your father?
I also did paperwork for him, doing like inventory stocks and stuff like that.
Terrific.
Basically.
Not basically. I don't want to hear basically. Basically is a filler word.
Sorry, ma'am. What else was I doing? I would sweep, clean up his shop. I would do a lot of things.
Okay, all while you were unable to do anything else.
Yes, ma'am. I would.
Just a second.
What were you saying?
After your back issues, after your concussions, after whatever other injuries that you had from working someplace. By the way, you don't have a lawsuit pending against anybody, do you?
No, ma'am.
So it's just a question of fetching, other than maybe trying to collect a disability somewhere along the line from the federal government. You were able to hook up U-Hauls, clean them and sanitize them, sweep out the premises, do paperwork, but you can't work. I mean, because part of the lawsuit is about all this work that you did. But all while you're telling me that you're unemployable because of all the injuries that you had.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okey-dokey. You understand how ridiculous that sounds to me.
Yes.
I only had one other case in my recent memory that sounded anywhere familiar to this story, and that was a man that was also receiving disability because he had a bad back. He was the plaintiff in a lawsuit suing someone because he had built them an outdoor patio deck alone, and he wasn't paid the $6,000 for it. But he had been collecting disability for a back ailment for 31 years from the federal government. That sound odd to you?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't it sound odd to you that you're able to put hookups together and sweep and everything else, but you can't say, do you want a hamburger with your fries or fries with a burger?
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds peculiar to you. Right. So I don't want to hear about work. Okay, that's the first thing. And you lived in your father's house for how long, by the way?
I think we only lived there for the first month, and then we ended up getting moved out to a camper for like the last bit of the, I think, 2 months that we were there.
I don't know what you're suing for. You want to tell me?
Caption, coming up.
I don't want to see any pictures of what? Of the truck?
The parts that were missing.
I don't care. I don't care. After 2 weeks, he could burn that truck. It's on his property without his permission. Let's go.
And later today.
That you said perfectly. I would ask her for $50 or $100, and she would lend me that. Is that the word she used?
She would lend me money and vice versa.
Thank you.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Kaya, Brandon, and William.
19-year-old Kaya Eliasov and Brandon Blanchard claim Brandon's father, William Blanchard, owes for unpaid wages and stolen property. William is countersuing for moving expenses and property damage.
Now, I'm not entertaining your wages because you can't work. That's what he just swore to. He can't work. That's why he's unemployed. He has 4 disc problems. I think he said 4. Whatever. He can't work. Forget him now. I want you to tell me what you're suing this man who drove 2,000 miles to rescue you after your father threw you out. I want you to tell me what you think he owes you for.
For the stolen property of my vehicle.
What stolen property of your vehicle?
He stole my toolbox with the key with it and also parts that went to my vehicle.
Did you take her toolbox?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Next. What's next?
Whenever I confronted him about it.
About what?
About the toolbox when we went to go get my truck, then he would say what he just said, that he never took it. But when I asked him where did the key go for it, he denied he would just ignore that fact.
Well, it's not a fact. It's not a fact unless you can prove that he took your property. You said he just said to you, I don't have your toolbox.
But my vehicle was on his property, in his possession.
Okay, and that's what you have. Your vehicle, while you were living there, was on his property, and therefore he's responsible for the toolbox.
Yes, ma'am. When he kicked us out and then told us to come back for the truck, he was going to give us 2 weeks to have it towed.
Because the truck wasn't working, but he let the truck stay on his property for 2 weeks.
Yes.
What else are you suing him for?
Just for the repairs on the vehicle.
On what vehicle?
On my truck. That whenever I went to go get the truck off his property after that 2 weeks, that's when the toolbox was missing, and I also looked under the hood, and there was wires hanging out, and those wires, I do have pictures.
So just a second. Let me ask you this question. You said, you said he gave you 2 weeks to come and get your truck off his property. The truck was inoperable when you left it on his property. Wasn't running.
No, ma'am.
That's right. You did not come to get it off his property in 2 weeks. You came after the 2 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
How much after the 2 weeks?
I think just like a couple days after. We came back on April 23rd and we left the property April 6th.
So it was after the 2 weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's get there fast because I'm quickly losing patience with 2 ingrates.
Here's the pictures.
I don't want to see any pictures of what? Of the truck?
The parts that were missing.
I don't care. I don't care. After 2 weeks, he could burn that truck. It's on his property without his permission. Let's go. Move on. Your father came 2,000 miles to get you. He fed you for a month. He kept a roof over your head for a month. In return, you're suing him for nonsense. Let us move on.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Very good. Okay. Now, Mr. Blanchard.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a countersuit that actually you wouldn't have brought now because you didn't have an agreement with your son and his fiancée when you went to get him. How many children do you have?
8 altogether.
Prior to going to get him cross-country, when had you seen him?
Been several years.
Tell me about the conversation when he contacted you.
He said, Dad, I have no place to go. we can try to stay with her grandmother. I offered, said, I'll come get you if you have no place to go.
And then?
Within a week, I dropped everything to go get him.
Now, when your son and his fiancée came to you, sir, did you put him to work in your business?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long was he in your business?
Altogether, maybe less than 90 days.
Did he work in your business after they moved out of your house? He says they only lived in your house for 30 days.
They were in the house 45 days, and then they were left another 45 days inside of a camper.
Can you tell me why they moved into a camper?
There was a chance of my daughter coming home, and they were living in her room at the time. And so I wanted to make sure they still had something, so I put them into a camper.
Camper on your property?
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of camper?
Small camper. It had
So they
showers.
used the inside of the house to shower and
Yes, Your Honor.
stuff, but they slept in the camper?
Yes, Your Honor.
All true?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And he paid for the camper, he paid for the electricity, water, etc. when you were in now. She wasn't working. Did he also pay for the food? Did you eat in the house or did you eat in the camper?
No, ma'am. We were getting food stamps. So we paid for our own food. And we also helped them with their food as well.
Why were you getting food stamps?
For the short bit of time because he recommended to get on food stamps.
Had you been on food stamps when you lived in Wyoming?
No, ma'am.
Okay, how did you support yourself there?
I was working at the time.
And what about him?
Driving company, basically, we go around, pick up food from places and
So
deliver.
you were able to drive?
Yes.
Oh.
For only a little bit.
With all those injuries? Amazing. Okay, I would like you to testify, sir, now to the conversation that you had with your son with regard to compensation for coming to pick him up in Wyoming. Be very careful what you say to me.
I told my son before I picked him up, I said, you need to pay me back for this trip.
Did you tell him what for the trip? I mean,
Yes,
your
for all
time?
expenses. All expenses for the trip.
For the expenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
How was he supposed to do that? He wasn't working.
He was supposed to get a nighttime job on top of working, helping me out around my shop.
Did he help you around your shop?
He
You
did.
said about 90 days. Did you pay him?
No, Your Honor.
Well, if he worked for you for 90 days and you didn't pay him at all, and it cost you a couple of $1,000s, according to you,
Yes, Your Honor.
to go out and get him, hire trucks, spend time back, whatever it was, and he worked for you for 90 days without compensation, why do you think he did that?
I was hoping just because that's what he really wanted to do.
No good deed goes unpunished. You went and you got him, and now they're suing you, but their case is dismissed. They have no case against you. It's all a bunch of nonsense and ridiculous. But likewise, sir, your counterclaim is for the expenses that you incurred in going to pick them up. I don't actually think that there was an agreement to pay you back for your expenses. But even if there was an agreement to pay you back for your expenses, the fact that he worked for 90 days without any compensation, I think, more than compensates you for that. As a result of that, your counterclaim as well is dismissed. We're finished here.
This court is adjourned.
You try to do your best for your kids whenever you can. This is no different.
It's been very difficult growing up.
I hope he gets his life together.
I don't want anything to do with him.
I'll always be there for him.
It's time to cut the strings. I'm done with him.
That young man sounded as if he was intelligent. That doesn't mean he was smart. That means he was intelligent. Because at age 19 or 20, to have already figured out that you can't work because you have a bad back unless you really have to work. If you really have to work, then you can work for your father. That's a bad mindset for a very young person. That means that your life is really going nowhere. You're not preparing yourself to do anything.
And to take it a step further and to sue the only person that was there for you in a time when you needed them.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Case number 2059, Dobson versus Jones, Poindexter. All parties, please step forward.
Clarissa Dobson is suing her sister-in-law, Kenesha Jones Poindexter, for a trip and wedding expenses.
Judy.
Miss Dobson, I assume this is your brother.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And this is his wife.
That is correct.
They're newly married.
That's correct.
When were they married?
June of 2021, June 26th.
Were you at the wedding?
Yes, I was. I was in the wedding.
Wedding at your house?
Wedding was at my home.
This is the unfortunate circumstance that I read in your papers, which I hope to be able to resolve quickly. You've known the defendant for many, many years.
Yes, that's correct.
She became engaged too when she was getting married, and they were planning a wedding, according to you. And Miss Poindexter, according to you, asked you to lay out certain monies for her for the wedding.
That's correct.
They were married. It was a joyous day, I gather. And then you asked her for the money back.
Yes, that's correct.
And she said, I never agreed to pay you any money. We're family. I've done things for you. You've done things for me. There was never an agreement for me to pay you. And your brother He said, leave me out of this.
Yep.
I don't want to get involved with this. You two ladies take care
That's
of it
exactly
on
what he
your own.
said.
Okay, well, it seems like a family matter, then more like a court matter.
Caption coming up.
I don't see stupid written over here.
No.
If somebody doesn't have $50 and you think I believe that you relied on her statement that I'm going to pay you for this trip that your brother is going on too, I don't believe it.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Clarissa and Kenesha.
Clarissa Dobson claims her sister-in-law, Kenesha Jones Poindexter, is responsible for trip costs and wedding expenses.
You have your own home?
Yes, that's correct.
Tell me about your home.
Nice home, got a lot of land around the property.
How much?
I would say probably a half an acre, which was big enough to put up 2 large tents, 45 guest tables, chairs, the mayor, some police. It was nice.
And there were certain things that you paid for.
Yes, that's correct.
You paid for a photographer?
Yes, that's correct.
How much?
The photographer was $300, Your Honor.
Okay, what else did you pay for?
Because the party was held at the home, the wedding, excuse me, all the events pertaining to the wedding party had to take place at the home.
Like what?
So like when we had our bridal shower meetings, because also Miss...
Oh, you mean the meetings to plan the wedding?
Right, to plan the wedding.
I'm not interested in
You're
that.
not interested in that?
I'm not interested in that. Yeah, so far we have $300 for a photographer that you say you laid out. Did she lay out that money?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, what else?
Her rides back and forth.
I'm not interested in her rides back.
Well, how was she going to get there? She's in Philadelphia. I'm in New Jersey.
$300 for a photographer. What else?
And just money she asked to borrow for the most part throughout the wedding.
Just a second.
So we have...
How much and when? So far, $300 for a photographer.
So on January 20th, Your Honor, we have $150.
For what?
She didn't say what it was for. It was for the wedding, though, because I have it here. Everything wedding is here.
Well, did she ask you for this $150 on the phone, in person?
She asked for it, like, over the phone, but then I sent the money, too. So anything that I sent to her, I always sent to her through Cash App because she's in Philadelphia, no car.
Okay. Then let me ask Ms. Poindexter. Ms. Poindexter, there would be no other reason for Ms. Dobson to send money to you through a Cash App during the wedding period other than for the wedding. Would that be accurate?
Not in January, Your Honor. We didn't start planning our wedding until 90 days before June. So anything that happened in January had nothing to do with my wedding.
Okay. Do you have Cash App statements before January?
I have nothing before January.
She has nothing before.
I have everything
Only
from
after.
January on.
Only after. So that would be for the wedding.
We didn't start planning our wedding until about March. We got married in June.
So what would she be sending you money for?
It has been times, it has been times when I'll ask her for, let me get $50 or, it has been times if I didn't have it or I might have needed a car fare or something, and she would do that. She would lend me money and vice versa.
No, I'm not talking about vice versa. I don't have a counterclaim. That you said perfectly. I would ask her for $50 or $100 and she would lend me that. Is that the word she used? Let's make sure I heard that right.
She says, it has been times when I'll ask her for, let me get $50 or, there has been times. And you asked her why. She said if I didn't have it or I need a car fare or something, and she would do that. She would lend me money and vice versa.
Thank you. Lend me money. So, okay, now we're going to get to Ms. Dobson. How much money did you send her via Cash App? Because she's already just acknowledged that those were loans.
So, 150, 100.
Let me have the dates.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's go back. 150 on what date?
January 20th.
Okay, 100 on what date?
February 11th.
Next.
March 8th, $50.
Okay.
April 4th, $100. May 11th, $20. May 17th, $25. May 22nd, $205. 15 on May 25th. May 28th, $45. June 3rd, $15. And I had a February 28th in here for $50. That was the first one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had February 11th only. So you have another.
Right, a February 28th for $50.
Can I see all of those?
Yes, ma'am. There you go.
Clarissa hands documents to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
Okay. Sarah Rose, would you fix that up for me? Okay, and you, based upon the read back and based upon what I thought I heard, anytime she sent you money, it's because you ran out of money, you were in a bind, and she loaned you the money. That's what was here. Okay. So you have
$775.
$775. Has she paid you back any of that money?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, the photographer. I want you to tell me how it came about that you paid the photographer.
Because Ms. Jones/Poindexter was waiting on unemployment to hit. And I'm not saying she wasn't trying to get the money up, because she was. But when the time came, this photographer guy needed to get paid, she didn't have the money.
Want to tell me about the photographer?
Yes, the photographer, I believe I was short like $300-some-odd, and Clarissa did put the rest of the money.
Why didn't you pay her the $775?
I don't believe I owe Clarissa.
Well, you just told her that she loaned you the money when you were short, and she wired it to you or did whatever they do in a cash app. I don't understand all of that. You said it was a loan. Is there any reason why you didn't pay her back? No. Okay. So far I have $775 and $300. Next.
Okay, so now we have the trip. They are the godparents of my twins. Your Honor, we were inseparable.
Okay,
So,
they're the godparents of your twins, your twins.
came time for their birthday. She said...
Month and year?
April of last year, 2021.
Okay, April of 2021.
Right. So in the process of planning the twins' birthday, Miss Jones-Poindexter said, oh, I would like to go. I'm just waiting on the unemployment, pandemic money, all that to hit. When it came time to go, they didn't have the money.
You're talking about the defendant and your brother. Yeah. They both went.
Right, so...
Just a second. They both went.
They both went, that's correct.
And what kind of work does your brother do?
He was a chef at the time.
So he was working?
Yes.
And she wasn't working?
Yes. Can I say something?
You can say whatever you want to say. You know where I'm going, don't you?
I know where you're going.
Okay.
Like I said, we were inseparable, right?
I don't care. I don't care about the social aspect of this.
Okay, but certain things she just didn't want to let him know she was doing, because at the end of the day, she thought she was going to get this money.
Miss Dobson, I don't care whether you say she didn't know what she was doing. You were already in a place where on January 20th, she didn't have $150, so you sent it to her. On February 11th, she didn't have $100, you sent it to her. On March 8th, she didn't have $50. You had to send it to her. So I don't see stupid written over here.
No.
If somebody doesn't have $50 and you think I believe that you relied on her statement that I'm going to pay you for this trip that your brother is going on too because his godchildren are celebrating a birthday, I don't believe it. So let's just forget a trip. $775 is what she says she owes you because she says it was a loan. $300 for the photographer. You have the pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't hear anything from you suggesting to me that this $300 was a gift.
I honestly did believe that she was doing it for our wedding.
Okay, good. $1075, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
So, Your Honor, what about my
adjourned.
That's it.
It's just a sad situation all the way around.
That's probably how she feels right now.
I love my sister-in-law.
She loves me and I love her. So what?
Honestly, I just want to be able to see my godkid.
I'm sure we'll be all right.
It's always unfortunate and sad when nice occasion turns sour by one thing.
Yeah.
And I thought the brother/husband was
the smartest one.
The smartest one. I'm staying out of this between my sister and my wife.
Yep. The safest place he could be was right where he sat. Just unfortunate. I mean, families squabble all the time, but just to bring it into a legal system, there are ramifications for that sometimes your anger or emotions can get the better of you.
That's true.
But to take it to a filing stage and to use the court system, that's just the next level that I feel like most family members don't need or shouldn't do.
Yeah, you're right.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you having a family dispute? Go to judyjustice.tv. El Arteaga for a loan.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2060, Baron versus Arteaga.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Barone, case is not a very difficult one. You met Mr. Arteaga?
Arteaga.
Take your hands out of your pockets. At a bar?
Yes.
When?
Back in June of 2021.
Did you ever live together?
No.
You always maintained your own residence and he his?
Yes, the apartment I owned was always underneath my name.
But he never lived there?
No.
Good. But you bought a car.
Yes.
In what month and year did you buy a car?
I ordered a Tesla back in, if I'm not mistaken, May. And
May of what year?
May of 2021.
Was it a new car?
Yes.
Give me a rough number. How much was it?
Out the door, $72,000.
And what color did you order?
Black.
This is what the case is about, and it's going to take me very, very little time to resolve the case. You ordered the $72,000 car in black. And because of whatever strange reason, you wanted the car wrapped. Now, I think most people know what that means, and I think I know what that means. That means you take a perfectly good car and you put a different finish on it. Is that what it means?
Yes.
You buy a car that has a nice shiny finish and looks clean, and then you put something on it that, I don't know, looks like it's been sitting out under a volcano.
I guess you could say that.
What?
I guess you could say that.
I just did. And that cost money. It cost an additional, I think, according to the papers that I read, $3,800.
No, it's $3,950.
How much?
$3,950.
And you had some of that money, but you gave him, transferred to him, $1,800 on your credit card.
Yeah, so it was an agreement made between...
No, I didn't ask you. I didn't. You transferred to him $1,800 towards this wrap on his car.
I made the payment for him.
You made the payment for him on a credit card?
Yes.
And according to you, your arrangement was that he would pay you back monthly $100.
Correct.
You don't dispute that.
She offered.
Yeah, she offered. And you did, in fact, on 3 separate months, pay her back $100.
Yes.
And that means that in your view, it was a loan.
Well, it was more of a gift.
Well, then why would you pay her back $100 a month, Mr. Artiega?
Because our finances are much different.
What do you mean
I was getting a car. I ordered a car, so it was a gift for me. Because she already knew that I was looking for a PPF, which is a paint protection film. So I'm more...
Listen to me.
Yeah.
You're not answering my question. You're doing a dance around my question. If it was a gift to you, this $1,800 towards the wrap for your car, why did you pay her back $300?
To help her out.
Yeah. And then you stopped, because that sounds ridiculous. You still have the Tesla?
I still do.
Yes. You making payments on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. What kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrical superintendent.
Expensive car.
Indeed it is.
You're a single guy?
Yes.
That's what single guys do with their money. Tell me why you stopped paying her back, Mr. Artiega.
Things got sour very quick.
So things got sour with the relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And is that when you stopped paying her?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500 is what he owes you for the balance of the loan. Thank you. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Annabelle.
We broke up. It was a nasty breakup. There was bad feelings and tensions between the both of us.
It was a bad breakup, yes, but there's a lot more details to it.
It was just out of pettiness at the end of the day.
Because she caused a lot of rifts.
I'm just not going to loan out money to just anyone from here on out.
I'm glad it's over.
And I'm really happy I get my $1,500 back.
Sarah and Judy.
Now that we've been here for a little while and I've been learning from you and all these cases that we've seen, still, rule number 1, never give a boyfriend money and expect to ever see it again. You will never see it again. It gets messy, it gets entangled, and we see it time and time again. So it's just hits even harder at home.
Have you noticed, Sarah, that it's probably 80-20 that women give money to boyfriends?
At least what we've seen here, yes.
You know, and if this is a microcosm of the world, and I don't know what that is, I haven't been able to figure it out. I've been doing this kind of business for 30 years, and I can't figure out why. Perfectly lovely young woman, guy's buying a $72,000 car and says, hey, babe, I'm short $1,800. Well, if you're short $1,800, buy a cheaper car.
Yeah.
You know, there are cars that cost less than $72,000. Anyway.
But women should be smarter and not agree to do
that. They ought to make mandatory watching these cases as part of a growing up process.
A lot of great life lessons,
Yes.
for sure.
Case 2073, Josephs versus Williams. All parties, please step forward.
Donnell Joseph is suing his niece, Tina Williams, and his sister, Martha Williams, for personal property.
Mr. Joseph, these two ladies are your half-sisters?
My half-sister and her daughter, my niece.
So, what's your first name?
Martha Williams.
Martha is your half-sister.
Yes.
And your first name?
Tina.
Tina is your niece.
Yes.
And you and Martha have the same mother.
Yes.
Your mother had a house. The house was in her name. Your mother passed away in the early 70s.
Yes.
At that time, she was married to your father, not your father, correct? No. And your father lived in the house until he died.
Yes.
And he died in what year?
2018.
Somehow the house, which had been in your mother's name, never went through a probate process. So as far as the law was concerned, the house remained in her name. It never went to her surviving spouse or her children when she passed away in the early 70s. What I'm reading is when your father passed away in 2018, the house sort of remained vacant for a while. For how long?
Since he passed away.
So nobody's lived there.
Correct.
And you knew your father passed away, I assume?
Yes.
And you knew your mother passed away?
Yes.
And after your mother passed away, she passed away in 1971 and 1972, did you ever visit with your father in that house?
I visited with my father. I lived in the house.
From when to when?
Well, I lived in the house 1963 until like 72, and I started moving out. But I would still go back to the house because it's my family home.
I want to know the last time, Mr. Joseph, you lived in the house.
1993.
So almost 30 years ago. And where have you been the last 30 years?
I've been in New York. I've been incarcerated.
You've been incarcerated from when to when?
93 to 2012.
So 1993 is when you last lived in the house?
Correct.
But you were released from prison in 2012?
Yes.
So for the last 10 years, you have not been back to the house?
I've been back to the house, but not living there as a resident.
Okay. So for 10 years.
Right.
As an adult, how old are you?
I'm 64.
As an adult, from age 54 to 64, you had access to the house, visited your father in the house.
Right.
Not before then.
Right.
Okay, and you haven't lived there full-time in decades.
Correct.
This is what your lawsuit wants.
Caption, coming up.
You had 10 years after you were released from prison to go and get these treasures, and you didn't do it.
Because my father's house was like the treasure of all his children's property. As long as he has...
As long as he had a bicycle or a Boy Scout book. Let's start being real.
Okay.
Our courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Donnell, Tina, and Martha.
Donnell Joseph claims his niece, Tina Williams, and his sister, Martha Williams, threw away his personal belongings. Tina and Martha are countersuing for the cost of a cleaning crew.
Your lawsuit is seeking $10,000.
Yes.
Because, according to you, the defendants disposed of your property that was invaluable. And I'm going to describe the property that you say was invaluable. A 1911 Boy Scout handbook.
Yes.
That you treasure.
Yes.
You should have taken it out of the house in 30 years if you treasured it. A mountain bike, purchased in what year?
Was it 71 to 72, around there? I know it was a 3-spirit, 10-speed I got. That was in 1970 in the Univega.
You wanted it, this 50-year-old mountain bike? You should have taken it over the last 10 years. A vintage reel-to-reel tape player.
Yes.
You know how many of those I threw in the trash? Do you have any idea how many of those I threw in the trash? You got those a half a century ago. Oh my God, I remember them, big reels, and how excited we were. You could talk into a microphone, and then you could hear your voice come back, and then all of a sudden you got a phone. You could do that, the same thing. So everybody took these things, and they couldn't find enough places to dispose of them. It's not vintage anything. It's a piece of trash.
Can I speak, Your Honor?
About what?
Okay, the reel-to-reel tapes, right? Some of the tapes had speakings of my brother and Martha's daughter.
Then you should have taken them with you. In 40 years, if they were treasures of yours, sir, and you're 64 years old, I would want those treasures around me. And you had 10 years after you were released from prison to go and get these treasures. And you didn't do it. You just left them in your father's house.
Because my father's house was like the treasure of all his children's property. Okay. This is how we connected to our father, because everybody has left. Everybody has died. So as long as he has...
As long as he had a bicycle? As long as he had a bicycle or a Boy Scout book?
The Boy Scout book was handed down to me through my father.
Let's start being real.
Okay.
Okay, let's start being real.
Okay.
And the first draft of my published manuscript.
Yes.
Why didn't you take that with you?
For safekeepings, I let my father hold it because
Well, that's not a good idea, sir. How old was your father when he passed away?
Oh, he was 88, but my father's mind was sharp. as a tax. He kept everything.
If you wanted it, your father passed in 2018. Is that what you're telling me?
I couldn't get nothing out of the house. So
I don't know whether you could or whether you couldn't. When did you make just a second. When did you make an effort to remove your forget about the bike, forget about reel-to-reel tape recorder, forget about the nonsense. Your manuscript. When did you write this manuscript?
I wrote it over a couple of years. It's the first draft of this book.
It's the first draft of that book.
This book.
Well, now you have the book.
But I needed to draft it because the other draft I'm working on the second book that goes along with this book, I don't have certain notes and things that I had.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, it doesn't.
It doesn't exist anymore. Okay. And if you wanted it, you should have gotten it. In 2018, when your father died, you were out of prison. Where were you living?
I was living in New York.
And where did your father live?
He lived in Los Angeles.
Between 2012 and 2018, how many trips did you make to visit with your father?
About 3.
And when did you publish that book?
2015.
So you published that book during your father's lifetime?
Yes.
And if you needed the manuscript, you came to visit your father. A manuscript, it's this big. That's how big a manuscript is.
Yes.
Where were you living in New York?
In Albany.
You have your own apartment or your own home?
House.
Do you own or rent?
Own.
When did you purchase it?
My wife, we bought it together. It was in 2009.
So you're married?
Yes.
Have children?
No.
So you and your wife purchased a house in 2009. How much did you pay for the house?
$109,000.
Are you still living there?
Yes.
So you had plenty of room in the house. You had plenty of room for a manuscript, tapes, a manuscript that you were working on. You weren't working on the manuscript long distance. What I'm telling you, Mr. Joseph, is the things that you're suing for are nonsense.
Okay.
If things that you wanted, that a grown-up man, 64 years old, gets if he wants them, it's not that you were homeless. You have a home that you purchased. You went to visit your father 3 times, anything of value. We're not talking about furniture and antiques and a grandfather clock. We're talking about things that can fit in a tissue box. Yes. You put them in your suitcase and take them with you if they're valuable.
I couldn't visit California before that because of the conditions of my parole. So the times that I could go, I can go out there, and I had to have.
You told me you went out there 3 times.
Yes.
When your father was alive.
When I had permission to go. So I couldn't, after my father passed away, I couldn't go in the house because that would violate the probate thing. So I had permission to go into the house.
You're not understanding me, Mr. Joseph.
Okay.
You're not understanding me. You went there 3 times after you were out of prison, after you had a home, after you were married. When you went there with a suitcase, don't tell me violating your parole unless you told me that. And in the suitcase should have been, when you returned from California to New York, small things of value that you say were invaluable to you, including a manuscript. Forget the bicycle. Forget the tape-to-tape reel recorder. The tapes that you say were precious to you, if they belong to you, put them in a suitcase. So there's a lot more about this that I don't quite understand. There's a lot about this that I don't quite understand. When your father passed away, who got the house?
The house is...
Your father passed away. What happened to the house?
The house is still in probate.
Oh,
so during the probate thing, I had to have permission to take anything out of the house.
I'm telling you, I've answered your lawsuit, sir.
Okay.
I've answered your lawsuit.
Thank you.
That you're a 64-year-old man, and if something that could fit in a tissue box was that precious to you when you visited your father and you had a home, you would have taken it with you when you left.
Certain things I couldn't take.
This is not a tea dance.
Caption coming up.
The property I lost this, but I lost a sister in this process.
He said he was.
And it makes no difference of how this goes. I lost a sister.
This isn't the probate court. So I would suggest that you all take a deep breath and say, whatever it is, let it be finished.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Donnell, Tina, and Martha.
Donnell Joseph claims his niece, Tina Williams, and his sister, Martha Williams, threw away his personal belongings. Tina and Martha are countersuing for the cost of a cleaning crew.
I asked you if the house is still in probate, which is unfortunate because people didn't take care of the business. Who are the beneficiaries of the sale of the house?
Me, my sister LaWanda, my half-brother Justin Joseph, my sister Sherry's 2 sons.
Okay, let's try to clarify this. Are you the executor of the will?
There's no will. My mom's the administrator of the probate.
And I just got to be administrator. We had to go back and forth to court. We had no way of getting in and out of the house because we had no keys.
Okay. And your father, I assume, had no will.
He had no will.
What's the value of the house?
Well, we don't know because since Martha became the administrator,
Just a second. What's the address of the house?
My mom had the house appraised at $250,000.
She's going to tell me.
Sarah.
So the off-market says it's approximating $464,000. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath, 858 square feet.
And the estimate?
The range is between 400 and 515.
Ooh, well, the family has a valuable asset that has yet to be divided after all this time. It's a good lesson for everybody out there. Make a will. Now you can tell me.
Thank you. My grandma, which is their mother, she bought the house on her own with my mom's last name, which is her dad's statement. It's her maiden name, who she was married to. We don't know if they were married. That's what we're going through in probate. It's a process, but the beneficiaries would be Donnell, my mom, and 2 heirs of a deceased sibling. Donnell has also been in jail for most of my life. He hasn't been to California at all, so I wanted to back that up as well.
Well, he's not entitled to anything. Okay. If he wanted these items that were valuable to him, he should have taken them during his 64 years.
The most safest place that I had in the world for my valuables
to be
held
bad.
was
my
my
father. If you own a home in New York with your wife and you had an opportunity to take these valuable things because you said you visited with your father after 2009, then you should have taken them. And don't tell me it was the safest place because...
Not only the safest thing, but my father, he lost 2 sons. And the only thing that he had in his house is the things that was left over from his children. And to take anything that was of value away from his children would have hurt my father. So the safest place for all our property.
Mr. Joseph, you don't think you're going to prison hurt your father?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I changed my life around.
Let's get real. Okay. You're not getting any money here.
Okay.
You're going to wait for probate, and in the probate procedure, which hopefully won't take forever, but it clearly can because people are irresponsible and don't create a will, it is likely that you will have part of the proceeds of this house. Likely. Only because if your mother passed away, and if she was in fact married to your father or lived with him at that time in California, if there was a common law relationship and they did have children together, then you as a offspring would be entitled, if there was no will, to part of the proceeds of this house.
Yes. When she bought the house, she bought it as a married woman. So once she didn't buy it as a single property.
That's something, Mr. Joseph, you don't have to convince me of. You have to convince the probate judge of.
Okay.
You also have a counterclaim that's ridiculous, and I'm not entertaining it. It's really just stupid. Stay with probate. When is the probate proceeding supposed to be finished?
Well, we're going through a mandatory settlement.
One thing I want to say, Your Honor, however this probate is, I wanted to, the property has lost this, but I lost a sister in this process.
He said he was.
And it makes no difference of how this go. I lost a sister. My niece, she's something else, but I love my sister.
This isn't the probate court, Mr.
I love
Joseph.
my sisters.
This is not the probate court, Mr. Joseph. And I suggest that if you love your sister...
She know I love her.
Just a second. If you love your sister, and you're 64 years old...
to me.
And you're 64...
When you know I love you.
Shh. Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
I know you can get emotional in situations where family is involved, and your sister clearly is sick because she's using oxygen.
Well, I just had liver surgery.
Mr. Joseph, what I'm telling you is, if you have an opportunity in the probate court, I'm actually telling this to both you and Miss Williams, if you have an opportunity at your age and your stage to settle something that gives each of you something, maybe less than you would get if somebody was disinherited, but at this stage in life, at 64 years old, somebody who just had liver surgery and someone who must rely on oxygen in order to breathe, my common sense tells me that what you do is not to give the whole thing away to lawyers who are there sucking up whatever profits there are going to be in this house. Because if the house is worth $200,000, you're going to get a bill for $140,000 for the probate administrator, for the lawyers, and you're going to wind up with zippity-doo-dah. So I would suggest that you all take a deep breath and say, whatever it is, let it be finished. You have no case, Mr. Joseph. Rely on the probate system. I wish you good luck. I said your countersuit's ridiculous. And I'm dismissing.
I have proof.
I want to tell you something. Your countersuit for having to rehire somebody to move is ridiculous. I'm telling you, rely on the probate court. We are done here.
Would you please let me present my countersuit?
No, I read it. I'm dismissing it on its face. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Donnell, then Martha.
All I can say is I love my sister.
Just the same thing that's happening, nothing.
Whether it's a probate thing or not, that ain't gonna never change.
I don't want to hear anything else.
I'm always loving because that's my sister.
Let the probate court decide it.
Sarah and Judy.
You know, at 25, after doing season 1 of this show, I created and executed a will because this is a situation we've seen far too many times, and it's so unfortunate to see the breakdown of a family over something that could have been prevented had the mother, father, grandfather, grandmother created a will when they were alive to tell the rest of us how they'd prefer their property to be disposed of.
It's fascinating to me that their mother is gone for 50 years. And for 50 years, that title to that house, which is
Never got flagged, never was...
Nobody ever thought about it.
Yeah.
And the father lived there for 40 years.
Must have at least paid the taxes and maintenance
because
on it.
Absolutely. And then he's gone, and everybody is in this awful state of limbo. And you know what it is with all those siblings and half-siblings and grandchildren and whatever. Even if the house, she says she had it appraised for $250. You looked it up and
It was much more, but it's hard to tell.
$400,000. But even if it is, and it has to be divided with 6 people, that's a substantial chunk of money. But it doesn't look like for either one of them, it's life-altering money. He lives in a home. He has a wife. He looks as if he's okay since he's been released from prison. But he has health issues. His sister has health issues. And they're going to spend the last years of the...
Worried about this probate.
Angry. I mean, I saw how emotional Mr. Joseph got. I love my sister. Well, if you love your sister, then you don't sue her.
Yeah.
I don't understand it anyway. Your advice is solid and sound, and I support it.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Adam Snyder and Julie Alice are suing their former employee, Trevor McCormick, for breaking his lease, the cost of a phone, as well as a personal loan.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Case number 2031, Snyder Alice versus McCormick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Snyder, you own a farm.
I do.
And this is your girlfriend?
Yes.
How long has she been your girlfriend?
5 years tomorrow.
You say that as a 5 years tomorrow. And?
And I'm just saying, it's 5 years.
5 years tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
the rest of our lives.
Okay, good. He know that?
No, he's learning.
He's learning. Terrific. Okay, this is what I'm gathering from the bare bones of the story. Mr. McCormick was dating an employee of yours.
Correct.
What was that employee's name?
Natasha.
When were you dating the lovely Natasha?
We weren't really dating. We were an acquaintance.
Where was Natasha living?
She was living, when we first met, she was living at a friend's house, and she was working for Adam as an employee at a restaurant.
And when was that? Month and year?
I'd say around September of last year.
September 2021?
Yes.
And?
And we decided to move out because Adam had
so you were living with Natasha at the friend's house?
Yes.
Where had you been living before?
My mom's.
So you went from mom's house to Natasha and a friend's house?
Yes.
Okay. And then where did you go?
Then we moved into the trailer right next to Adam that he owned.
Who had a discussion with Mr. Snyder about potentially renting the trailer so you would have a place to live? And what kind of rent were you paying?
I believe it was $800.
And you moved into the trailer when?
Around November.
Of 2021?
Yes.
And you lived in the trailer till when?
About March.
March of 2022?
Yes.
In March, what happened?
Me and Natasha weren't getting along. I just had enough.
There was never a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
No.
She was just a friend. Did you know that?
That is not true.
So what did you do?
I asked Adam if I could move into the ranch house. There was nobody living there at the time.
Where were you living?
I live at my home with Julie.
Okay, and there's a ranch house on the farm?
I have a ranch house on a separate piece of property.
Close by to the farm?
Yes, 3 miles.
That was vacant?
Correct.
Okay, so you asked to rent it?
Yes.
Who was going to rent it?
I was.
Just you?
Yes, just me.
How much was the rent?
It was $800.
And this was in March?
Yes.
Prior to March of 2022, what kind of work were you doing?
I was working at a factory.
How long did you work there?
About a month.
What month?
March.
Prior to March, where were you working?
On Adam's farm.
From when to when?
I'd say about December until March.
Well, in December to March, you were living in the trailer.
Yes.
Okay. And you were living with the lovely Natasha.
Correct.
And Natasha, I assume, was contributing to the rent.
Yes.
And how much were you contributing to the rent? Is not an answer. How much were you contributing to the rent from December to March of 2021?
Couple hundred a month.
That's not an answer. A couple of hundred a month. How much do you pay for rent? $316 a month and 24 cents. How much does it cost to have your garbage picked up? $59.12. Do you understand? Certain things change. What was your electric bill last year? I don't remember. What was your bill last month? I don't remember.
$300, ma'am.
You see? But I mean, a couple is two.
Yes.
Who did you pay that to?
Natasha.
Well, I can't tell whether you paid that to Natasha or not. Did you ever discuss rent with Mr. Snyder?
No.
Even in the trailer?
Even in the trailer.
So that was all done through Natasha?
Correct.
Okay. But according to you, you worked someplace in March, but before that you worked on the farm?
Yes.
From when to when? December to March?
Yes.
Beginning, middle, or the end of December?
The middle, the 16th.
Is that about right?
If you want to call
Just
helping...
helping whatever?
Yes.
December 16th. Okay. And from December 16th, you did whatever work it was on the farm until March?
Yes.
March what?
Till I moved out.
No, March what? Beginning, middle, and...
28th.
And what was the rent in the ranch house? The ranch house must have been nicer than the trailer you were living in.
$800.
You moved in April?
Yes.
How much money did you give him?
$900.
Some was to go towards security?
I was in between jobs, and that's what I had, so we made an agreement that I'd pay $900 the week of, and then so on and so on. I don't have
What's the so on and so on?
I don't have the copy of the lease. He never gave me it.
Did you sign a lease?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
I have it right here. In the back of the contract, you'll see where we wrote down he would pay $900
Just a second.
on the 8th.
Judy reviews a document.
Okay, so the security deposit was supposed to be $1,200. You paid $8.
Paid $9.
The security deposit was $12, and you paid $9 of security deposit?
I paid $9 total, ma'am.
Well, how many months did you live there?
Not even one.
When did you move out?
April 24th, I moved out.
Is that correct?
That's close, yes.
Okay.
I don't know exactly when he moved out because he didn't tell me he was moving out. He just locked the door.
Okay.
And wouldn't
but it was in
return
April.
messages.
Okay. And you had $900.
He paid $900.
And the rent on the property was supposed to be?
$800 per month.
$800 monthly.
Yes.
So right now, you've been paid for the month that he lived there.
Correct.
Prior to his moving in there, who was living there?
Nobody.
So it wasn't rented?
Nope.
In what year was it last rented?
2021.
When?
Oh, no, it was in February. We did an eviction on it.
So somebody lived there and didn't pay rent?
Correct.
Is that the first person who came in that didn't pay rent?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Yeah, it's
And
lousy
Trevor
to be a
was there, and
landlord.
he helped us do the eviction on that, so he knew how it worked.
Hmm?
Trevor was there. He helped us do the eviction because we had to have court officers there
To get him out because they weren't paying rent.
So he knows how it works.
Well, he may know how it works, but he did, in fact, give you $900.
He did.
And he lived there for less than a month.
That's right.
So that's sort of square. I know you'd like him to be responsible for his lease, but you have your house back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me about this phone that you say he owes you for.
Okay.
By the way, where's your phone?
I have my phone that I paid for. Their phone that I put a down payment for is at my house.
Why?
I didn't know I had to bring it.
Well, it was just purchased within the last year.
Yeah.
Why do you have two phones? You have no
Because,
job. Why do you have two phones?
I have a job.
Oh, good.
I bought this outright because he shut the other phone off.
Oh, well, where is the phone?
The phone's at my house.
What kind of phone is it?
It's an iPhone 13.
You want it back?
I'd like him to just pay for it like the agreement was, but...
He gets back his phone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Even though I paid
just
it
a
down.
second. Where do you live? Where do you live?
I live in Highland.
Where is that?
It's by Detroit, Michigan.
Who else lives at home?
My girlfriend.
What's her name?
Ariel.
Where is she?
She is currently working right now.
Does she know where the phone is?
Yes.
Okay. They're going to give you an envelope in the clerk's office back here. You're going to tell Ariel to put his phone carefully packed and mail it to him. FedEx, UPS, the fastest way it will get there. Then you get your phone back. Go. What's next?
I have text messages here from Trevor. This will show where, when he was dating Natasha, they had agreed that they would pay for their phones up front so that I would put them on my business plan. I told them I would only do that if they paid for the phones up front, because when I took Trevor to Verizon, I said, if they don't pay for their phone bill, as long as they've paid for these phones in full, I can shut them off and it will cost my business no money, correct?
Mhm.
And the lady said, that is right. I said, okay, then we can do it. So we added them to the bill, to the business plan. And here, where I text him, I said, you and Natasha told me you were paying for the phone in cash. That's why I allowed you on my business plan. Now I found out that you did not pay for the phones up front, because when we were in there, he and Natasha had the cash.
Did you assure Mr. Snyder that you were going to pay for the phone?
I had no idea I was even going to get a phone until Natasha said, go with Adam and go pick up our phones. That's all I heard, and that's what I did.
Well,
I didn't know
can't
about
say
the
that to
cash.
me because the lovely Natasha isn't here either. Sir, you're going to get your phone back. Is it one phone or more?
We recovered the second one from
Well, you're going to recover this one too. You recovered the second one.
Yeah.
Second one was Natasha's?
Correct.
Great, we're going to recover this one too. What's next? Changing lock fees, and you want a personal loan. Okay. So once he moved out, according to you, he moved out totally, and you didn't even know he moved out, so I don't know why the locks were changed.
The lock did not need changed. I did tell the court that we were going to have to change the locks because the key was missing. I didn't know that while I was away on storm, Julie had gone in to check to make sure the water wasn't running, and she found the key on the table. And that is
Okay,
what Trevor
great.
said.
So we're going to eliminate that. And now we're going to go to the small loan that you say that you made to the defendant.
So Natasha came over, guys, like he said. She worked at...
Don't tell me what Natasha asked you. That's all hearsay. I need to know what conversations you had with the defendant.
Okay, but she came over...
But you can't tell me what she said, you see.
Okay. So
And
anyway,
if you made a contract, if you made a contract with Natasha for a loan of money, even if it went for his benefit, do you understand? Okay. Even if it went for his benefit, he's not responsible. If Natasha says, I want you to give, what's your first name?
Trevor.
Trevor, a loan to fix his car, and you say, okay, you need somebody to pay you back. Natasha has to say, I'll pay you back. However, you can't tell me that.
Caption coming up.
I was not in the house at the time when they were discussing that.
Well, you said you went into the house.
I came to pick Natasha up.
I don't want you to make yourself appear any more stupid. Do you understand? Try not to do that.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Adam, Julie, and Trevor.
Adam Snyder and Julie Alice claim their former employee, Trevor McCormick, owes for the cost of a phone and a personal loan. Trevor is countersuing for unpaid wages.
Now, did you ever have a conversation with Trevor about money?
I do. I have a text message telling him...
No, tell me, not a text message.
The conversation was not verbal.
It was by text message?
Correct.
Okay, so I'd like to see text message from him.
Yep. This has from Trevor. This is his number.
Okay. Now see it, please.
Julie hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
He did pay me $100 in cash.
Okay, so it's clear from this text exchange, sir, that you borrowed a certain amount of money from the plaintiff.
I did not borrow Natasha.
Yes, well, it acknowledges it here because you say, I start that job on the 14th. I will pay you back out of my first check. It was for me, and I will pay it. That's what you wrote. Do you understand? Do you want to look at it?
No.
You don't want to look at it. You're not questioning me. So it's clear from this that you borrowed money from Miss Ailes.
I personally did not. I didn't even know what was going on.
Who wrote this? I start that job on the 14th.
That was me.
Well, then, that's in response to her text message to you that says, hello, Trevor. I heard you were moving out and I need that paid by the end of the month. I have been very patient as no attempt has been made on this. Thank you. And you immediately wrote back to her and said, I start that job on the 14th and I will pay you out of my first paycheck. That's what you said to her.
Yes, ma'am.
You mean, yes, ma'am. Now, I'm going to get back and ask you the question I think I asked before. What was the loan for?
I broke down in Oklahoma.
In what month and year was that?
About September of last year.
September of 2021 is just about when you started dating Natasha.
Correct.
Okay, so your car broke down in Oklahoma. And?
And it had to get fixed.
And?
So I rode the Greyhound bus back up to Michigan. and waited until my car got fixed, which took months.
I'm asking you, what was the loan for?
To go back down and get my car.
So it was $670 that you borrowed from her, and I want to know how it was that you got the money.
I came in to Julie's house, and Natasha said, "You're going to Oklahoma to pick up your car," because I didn't have any money right then and there, but I wasn't going to ask anybody.
Just a second. I don't care what you were going to do, what you didn't do, what you thought about doing. You went into the house that the plaintiffs share.
Mm-hmm.
Not is not an answer. The answer is yes. The lovely Natasha was there.
Yes.
With Julie.
Yes.
What did you say and what did Julie say to you? Just Julie.
Julie didn't really say anything. She said, "Don't tell Adam about the money."
Oh, so she said she would give you money.
Yes.
And she knew exactly how much you needed.
Yes.
Did you tell her that?
No.
Okay. When she gave you the money, did she give it to you in check or cash?
She didn't give me no money. She gave Natasha the money.
Okay. How much was it?
$700, around there.
And after it was given to you by Natasha, but you were all in the same room together.
I was not in the house at the time when they were discussing that.
Well, you said you went into the house.
I came to pick Natasha up. Yes.
I don't want you to make yourself appear any more stupid. Do you understand?
Yes.
Try not to do that. You were in the house with Julie and Natasha at some point, and at some point money was discussed.
No.
Was money discussed in front of him?
No, it was not.
Okay. So your loan was not with him. Do you understand?
Yes.
Unless he ratifies the loan subsequently. Is that correct?
Correct.
This is from my person who just studied for the bar, and I have to go back in my mind 50 years. If my memory is correct, if you don't make a loan directly with someone, they cannot be obligated to repay that money. However, if they subsequently get use of that money and subsequently agree to repay you, they have ratified that contract.
Correct. You just have to decide if that's a ratification.
Yeah. What would be your take on that? Take a look at it very carefully. What would be your take?
It was for me, I will pay it. Seems pretty close to textbook ratification.
Yeah, I would say so. I start a job on the 14th. I will pay you back out of my first paycheck.
I just wanted to keep the peace because she was down my throat.
This woman was down your throat?
Yes.
She may have been annoyed, very annoyed, but she wasn't down your throat. She was the one who volunteered to give you money in your time of need. How could she be down your throat? Okay. So far you paid her back $100. Is that what he paid you back? So he owes you $600. Okay. So far, Mr. Snyder, I'm not with you on it, on the rent.
Okay.
I'm not with you on the lock change fees. I am with you on the phone, which you're going to get back. He's going to get that back within 5 days. Otherwise, he's going to have difficulty.
Here from the day that he did the phone purchases, instead of paying for the phones up front, he also added a bunch of other cordless phone chargers and everything else to the bill.
How much were the extras?
Totally, there's 2,000.
No. I don't want them total. Total, you're going to get the phone back. What were the extras that he charged onto the phone?
There is a $41.99.
$41.99.
There is a $20.99.
Okay. You know that I went to 7 years of postgraduate school for this. Keep going.
$29.99.
7 years. They were very hard years. I also took the bar exam. Keep going. $29.99.
$17.99.
Oh, it's getting worse. Not better for you, Mr. Snyder.
And $11.99.
Worse. A lot worse.
$122.95.
Okay. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
Working on the farm.
Okay. Tell me about that. From when to when did you work on the farm?
November to the end of March.
And what were you doing between November and March?
I was feeding cattle when Adam was on storm, watering them.
To March what? The end of March?
Yes, right.
I thought you worked at a factory.
I did both.
Well, you can't do both. You work at a factory. I asked you if you had a job. You said, I work at a factory.
I did do both.
Well, now I need the name of the factory and find out what your shift was.
I was,
And you worked during the day?
Yes.
From when to when?
From
Time?
6 to 6. Well, I had...
Just a second. Mr. McCormick, if you work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., it is not possible to work a full-time job for the plaintiff as well.
I had a schedule of three on, 2 off.
Okay. We're making it up as we're going along.
Trevor smirks. Caption coming up.
Did you have a financial arrangement with him for putting out these bales of hay?
We never did. Although he did get paid for everything he did, until the last day that he worked for me, where we were tearing apart a building.
That's
Oh,
incorrect.
just don't speak.
Judy raises her eyebrows at Trevor. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Adam, Julie, and Trevor.
Adam Snyder and Julie Alice have accused their former employee, Trevor McCormick, of refusing to pay the cost of a phone and the balance of a loan. Trevor claims he was not paid for the work he did on their farm.
Now, did he work for you?
It would be very minimal. He would put hay bales out, which would take 10
He would
minutes.
put what?
Hay bales out for the cattle.
Hay bales.
Yes.
At approximately what time of day? Because I'm not getting...
He could come and do it when he got home from work.
Okay. And did you have a financial arrangement with him for putting out these bales of hay?
We never did.
Okay. Is there any reason why you never did?
Because he didn't do it very often, and he said he was just happy to help, although he did get paid for everything he did until the last day that he worked for me, where we were tearing apart a building.
So he got paid when he worked for you?
He did.
That's
Oh,
incorrect.
just don't speak. From when to when?
When he helped me, it was very minimal. It would be...
No, I'm not talking about the hay. You said he did, in fact, work for me.
He did.
I want to know, but not on the farm. He worked someplace else.
He helped on another piece of farmland that I have.
Okay.
Where a barn had fallen down. We were tearing the steel off, and he worked 3 hours that morning.
3 hours what morning?
The last day that he was there, it would have been...
So that's in March?
Early, I would say the second week of March.
Okay. When was the first time he worked there?
I would say probably in January.
And he was working at this other plant from 6 to 6 in March,
Correct.
according to him. So he did some work for you in the first month, which was January.
Yeah, if he helped me, it might be 1 day a week.
Fine, I just want to know if he got paid for it. That's what he's...
Yes, he
We
did.
can't do May something. How much did you pay him?
It would depend on how much he worked. One day I gave him $300 for helping me for a day and a half on another demolition job I did.
And you paid him in cash?
Correct.
Okay.
That was for the demolition job. That wasn't for the farm.
It doesn't make any difference, sir. If you have a full-time job and you're working part-time someplace else and you say he paid you...
He did not pay me.
Well, you say he didn't pay you for the farm. What he's saying is he had a job with me. He was a demolition job for which he got paid, which you do not deny. Is that right?
I'm not.
You just said that's not what I asked you. He paid you for the job that you did part-time for him
Yes,
in
he paid me for that
demolition.
job, yes.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
And what you're suing him for is allegedly money that he owes you for working on the farm during a period that does include March when you were working full-time someplace else.
Correct.
And working for him.
Yes.
And doing this work at the site in March, the first 2 weeks in March, because you got some money for that.
Correct.
So now you have, according to you, 3 jobs. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
First of all, you had no fixed financial arrangement with him at the farm.
Correct. He said he'd pay me what he can.
That is not a contract. Okay, but let's move forward with that. Tell me what your chores were at the farm.
I would go feed them hay.
Just feed who hay?
The cows.
Okay, how many cows do you have?
130.
Anybody else work on the farm or just him?
Just me mainly, and he would help when I was gone.
Okay, and in order to keep these animals alive, they have to be fed hay.
Correct.
For how many months did you feed them hay?
3.
Once a day?
Yes.
And what time would you do this?
Usually in the morning.
Before you went to work?
Yes.
That had to be 5 o'clock in the morning. You went to work at 6 o'clock. You had a shift, according to you, from 6 to 6.
Yes.
Okay, so how long did this take you in the morning when you had a full-time job?
Sometimes.
Not sometimes. I want you to tell me how long it took you.
Average about an hour and a half a day.
So let's say it took you an hour a day. And how many days did you do it?
I was with him every day before I got the job. I would go with him every day.
I don't care.
Okay.
For the 3 months, I'm asking you how many days you did it.
45.
That be right? In the 3 months, maybe 45 days? How many days did he put out hay?
If Trevor fed the cattle 12 days the whole time by himself, I'd be surprised.
And I helped him because I was there.
You did not help me when
Just
he
a
was
second.
gone.
Yes.
You helped him with the bales of
Yes, I
hay?
helped him because we also had another hired hand that would help me too, so I was rotating between both of them.
Okay, so let's say he worked 20 hours. Did you pay him any extra money for this work?
No, not for feeding cattle.
Not feeding cattle. And you didn't have any arrangement with him whereby he would work on the farm and he would get something off his rent?
No.
Okay, so he has to be paid for that. Sarah Rose, would you look up and see if there's a minimum wage in Michigan? What's the federal minimum wage? I don't know anymore.
$15.
So the minimum wage is now $15 an hour. That's federal.
Yes, ma'am.
15 times 20.
$300.
Okay. So, Mr. Snyder, let's start with you. You are going to get your phone back within 5 days. On your cross-claim against Mr. Snyder, I am awarding you $300 on your counterclaim. That is for the work that you did on the farm. However, we are holding that check until he gets his phone back in good condition.
Yes.
Do you understand? Otherwise, you forfeit that money.
Yes, ma'am.
To him. Do you understand?
Yes.
With regard to the co-plaintiff, I find that you did, in fact, take a loan from her, that you initially did it through a third party, but that you ratified the fact that you would make payments on the loan by two things. First, by acknowledging it in writing, and second, by making a payment. So I'm awarding you $600 on your claim. Those are the orders of the court. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Trevor, then Adam and Julie.
I think they're scam artists.
We came here to try to teach him a lesson that when he enters into contract with somebody, the contract is a contract.
They're greedy. They want money. They need money.
For being greedy, we did a lot to help this guy out.
By doing pretty much anything they ask.
Well, we've decided we're not helping people out anymore. They're on their own.
Sarah and Judy.
It's funny because if he didn't send those text messages ratifying the contract that someone else had made on his behalf, he could have gotten away without any responsibility. But when someone makes an agreement on your behalf and you then later either pay for it or admit responsibility that you know you owe it, then you've ratified it and you're held to that, even if you didn't make the initial agreement.
See, and then the right thing happened.
Yeah, it
The
did.
right thing happened.
It did.
So that's good. That's
Taking
all good.
accountability.
Yeah.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Charles Kerper is suing musician Luther Fortenberry for breach of contract and copyright infringement.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Hi. Case 2081, Kepper versus Fortenberry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Charles.
Mr. Kerper, it is your claim that the defendant breached a contract with you. The contract was a verbal contract. And the nature of that breach was the defendant envisioned in his mind the lyrics to a song. That was his business. And he asked, according to you, he asked you to put music to the lyrics. Am I understanding that correctly?
The latter part is true. However, it was more than just a verbal contract. It's also in writing.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at it.
Okay.
That's important. And according to your complaint, you did in fact write the music.
Correct.
To his lyrics.
That is correct.
And you had an agreement in writing that you would share the profits of any exploitation of that song.
That is correct.
With him.
Yes.
And that he breached that agreement.
Yes, there's also an agreement that he would give me proper credit whenever he was using that.
So now I would like to see if you say there was a written contract that's signed by both parties. That's what I want to see.
Okay. So this was the original version, which he offered me 25%.
Just a second, just a second,
Okay.
just a second.
Sorry.
A document.
Okay. This contract is pretty straightforward, and it's signed by both parties, and it says Luther Winston Fortenberry created a song, Baby I Got a Gun, and Charles Kerper, that's you, transcribed it to guitar.
Correct.
So what this contract says, I just want you to understand, Mr. Kerper, is that the defendant created the song, and you transcribed it to guitar. That's what it says. And that was written in January of 2016.
Correct.
It's signed by both people.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what you're showing me is something else.
How it started to change over time.
Listen to me. This was your written contract.
Right.
Any change in that contract, unless I could really find that there was a meeting of the minds with regard to it, has to be in the same formality of this contract. This initial contract is very clear. It does not say that you created this music. I'm telling you what this initial contract says. By the way, Mr. Fortenberry, this contract was written January 30th, 2016.
Yes, I'm looking at it.
Yes. When did you create this song? In what month and year?
About a year. I don't know exactly, but I was at a popular comedy store, and the manager of our show
What show?
The Ding Dong Show.
What's the Ding Dong Show? When you said our show, was he involved in that?
Just with this transcription.
I was involved with other elements of the music as well with Mr. Fortenberry.
Well, right now this says transcribe. And what I asked you, a simple question, when did you write this song?
At least a year before this contract.
At least a year before January 30th, 2016.
Yes. And I was singing it regularly a cappella at the club.
Okay. But you asked him to transcribe it. That's what it says. Now, this was done at the time that you transcribed it to guitar.
I would argue I'd never transcribed it because...
That's it, just a second. That's what this says. It doesn't say we'll transcribe it. It said transcribed it.
Correct.
To a guitar that they both agreed to submit for sale.
Correct.
Asking price will be $10,000 to rent and $10 million to sell it outright, and you will split it 75-25. That's what this says.
That is correct.
Now, did you ever rent it?
I never rented it or sold it.
Just a sec. Well, I'm asking you these questions. You never rented it?
No.
And $10 million to sell it outright, and you never sold it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So it was neither rented nor sold, which was your original contract. And you have no proofs to the contrary, that he neither rented it nor sold it.
I have evidence that he did use it in other
It doesn't say that you can't use it.
Right, that is correct.
Okay, now you want to show me, sir, because this is what your action is, you want to show me that this original agreement was somehow modified
Correct.
to give you a wider berth.
This is correct.
Okay, so I'd like to see what you have in writing.
Okay. So immediately after that was signed, about 4 or 5 days later, you have the papers that's stapled behind. I confronted Mr. Fortenberry and I said, this is not a transcribing project. This is a rewriting project. What he provided to me was not usable for transcription. And on the next page, we have a text message exchange that I highlighted where he
Well, just a
changes...
second. Shh.
Sorry.
Well, this is a text message from him to you.
Correct. And he
right?
acknowledged...
And just a second, that's not acknowledging. That's a text message from him to you. Do you have your response to this? You can't unilaterally change a contract that's in writing. I mean, if you have an offer and an acceptance.
Right.
So where is your response to this?
I don't believe I had a response in the history of messages I was able to retrieve, so...
Then this is irrelevant.
Okay.
So far, we have this. We have a writing signed by both parties, which is complete. It says what you did, what you will be paid in the event of a rental or a sale. Now, you want to show me something else?
So going forward, what he did was he registered the song with a registration company in San Diego. He did that without my knowledge.
Just a second, that's irrelevant. This is your contract. Show me where it's a violation of this contract. This contract says you transcribed it to guitar. If the version that you transcribed with a guitar is either rented or sold, you will get 25% of the revenue.
Right.
So we already went through that. You do not have any proof that he either rented it or sold it. It doesn't say that you will be given credit. It doesn't say what your credit will be. If you have a modification where he agreed that you will get certain credit and you accepted that, I will see that.
Charles with a document.
Okay.
This is the most recent agreement signed in August 21st, 2018. It's dated August 8th.
Kevin brings the document to Judy, who reviews it.
I don't know what this means. Mr. Kerper agrees to release Mr. Fortenberry from any financial liability for work performed prior to the date of this document, that is prior to 2018.
Correct.
Payment by Mr. Fortenberry to Mr. Kerper will be considered compensation for his time, costs, etc. Mr. Kerper has invested in this ongoing project to date. What did he pay you? Because it doesn't say here.
He didn't pay me anything. What he did was he gave me some camera equipment, which he'd promised me, which was outside of this project. And he gave me $300 as what was deemed a celebratory gift because we were wrapping this up.
No, that's not what this says, Mr. Kerper. Mr. Kerper, we read a contract literally.
Right.
This is a poorly crafted document, but it's clear in regards to baby, I got a gun.
Right.
Mr. Kerper, that's you, agrees to release Mr. Fortenberry of any financial liability for work performed prior to the date of this document.
Correct.
Payment by Mr. Fortenberry to Mr. Kerper will be considered compensation for time, costs Mr. Kerper has invested in this ongoing project. And what you're telling me is the payment was some camera equipment and $300.
I would say it was not the camera equipment, it was the $300.
What the camera equipment?
This is some camera equipment I had. I had sold him some of it prior, and he had offered it back to me as a gift because I had invested so much work into this project.
Judy looks at her watch, then glares at Charles.
You got 5 more minutes of my time.
Okay.
You have no case.
I believe I do, ma'am.
No.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Sorry, you don't.
Caption coming up.
You want him to say, whenever he performs the song, I wrote this song together with Mr. Kerper, and I want you to understand that he's the music man. I don't know what a music man is. It's interesting when people sign contracts and they have no idea what they're doing.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Charles and Luther.
Charles Kerper claims musician Luther Fortenberry owes for breach of contract and copyright infringement.
Now, those are the 2 written contracts. You have any further modification of those contracts in writing?
Yes,
Just a second. I'll see them.
Okay.
This is a contract in writing, 2018. This is 2016. And this was agreed by both parties. So the last agreement was you got $300. Did you pay him $300?
$300 in camera equipment, about $1,500 worth.
Okay. He started to mention that, and then he backtracked. Okay. Next written contract after 2018.
Yes. In that contract, which you have right now, it also says it serves to clarify previous misunderstandings that I wrote the music and I was not a transcriptionist.
Mr. Kerper is to be understood as the music man behind the music and not a transcriptionist. Well, who do you want that to be noted by? Mr. Kerper is to be understood as the music man with capital letters.
Right.
And I don't know what that means.
This was his wording.
Well, then you should have fixed the wording.
I should have, you're correct.
I don't know what a music man is. It's not a trademark, it's not a copyright, it's a nothing. I don't know what it means.
So I wrote the music, which is in the version which he's using currently. I wrote that from scratch. There was no transcribing.
That doesn't say that. Nothing here says that. The only thing this says is Luther Winston created this song, Baby I Got Gun. That says he created it, you signed it. You wanted to clarify it. You wanted to be known as the music man, not just the transcriber. I don't know what music man means. And you got paid pursuant to this, although it doesn't say this, but you acknowledge it, you got paid $300.
Okay, also in that agreement, it also says that I'll be given credit in future uses. It says that.
As the music man. You want him to say you're the music man?
Credit, which he did not give me
Just
credit.
a second. You want him to say, whenever he performs the song, Baby You Got Gun, if he gets up to perform that, I wrote this song together with Mr. Kerper, and I want you to understand that he's the music man. It's interesting when people sign contracts and they have no idea what they're doing. Okay, let me see the next contract that you have.
So this is an agreement which is supposed to be a performance agreement with his producer from the comedy club.
Well, just a second, let me take a look at it.
He's...
Shh. Judy reviews the document.
Well, this is exactly what this says. This says this agreement, and this is August of 2018. And who sent this, by the way?
Mr. Fortenberry sent that to me.
Okay, it said this agreement gives Luther the right to perform music as the opportunity arises. Luther is further released of any further financial responsibility or debt owed making music. Charlie Kerper will be referred to in the future as the music man. This payment will be for goods and costs making music for $300 and camera equipment. If any referral is made in the future as to who wrote and performed parts of said music above, Charlie Kerper will be given those credits.
Correct.
Okay? He sent that to you. Where is your response?
So he sent that back to me on August 8th.
Just a second.
Okay.
He sent this to you. So I would like to see your response to this. I agree to your terms. I disagree with your terms. If you agree with the terms, then I might accept that as a modification of a contract. If you say I disagree with the terms, then there is no modification. We go back to these 2 signed agreements.
Correct.
Where is your response to that?
Can I explain what happened after that? He's emailed that to me. I was here in LA, and I didn't have an opportunity to entirely go over it, but we were trying to meet with him at a restaurant and also at the museum to have this resolved. So I had my phone only to look at it, and he was playing hardball with me that day. So he sent me these emails saying he had signed these agreements, which included making referral to me and clarifying that I did in fact write the music, which he claims I transcribed.
I need your response to him.
Okay.
If there is no response, we have these two agreements.
So the response was this. That night, he finally agreed to meet with us.
In writing.
Yes.
I want what you sent to him in response to this email.
Well, I called him on the phone and I said, can we meet so we can sign this and put this fast so the music video could be moved forward? And he wanted a performance agreement so there wasn't any questions whether or not they could use the music in the video. So I arrived at his apartment. He made us wait outside for half an hour.
Okay, you know, Mr. Kerper, I really don't care.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not relevant.
Yeah.
What's relevant is if you had a subsequent offer and acceptance to a new contract, a modified contract that he made via email, and you responded to him via email that I accept those terms, or if you sent it to him and said, these are the terms I want, and he wrote back and I accept your terms, unless you have that, you are bound by these two written contracts, which means you got paid. You got paid $300 and some equipment. You got paid. Right. And according to this contract, when referring to this music and referring to you, he has to refer to you as, in capital letters, the music man.
Correct. Giving me credit. Correct.
No, he has to refer to you as the music man.
It says here in this contract, I'm sorry, if any referrals made in the future as to who wrote and performed parts of said music above, Charlie Kerper will be given those credits.
Yeah, as the music man.
No, it does not say music man here.
Where?
It should say it in the, not that one. Not that one either, the other one.
There's no other, I only have two written contracts.
This is his original email to me that he sent me before the contract we're discussing, and it has my response. I have my response attached to it here. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Charles hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Who wrote, your offer is hostile and very lowball for what you're asking?
I wrote that.
I reject it.
Absolutely.
I'm not interested in selling.
That is correct.
Well, that doesn't modify. That means he made you a subsequent offer after these two agreements. You said, I don't like that offer. So there was no change in these two written contracts, one of which called for payment, which you acknowledge you received in the form of $300 and camera equipment.
Caption, coming up.
He was limited to using it on one particular program, and he's used it in other places. And I said, put your hand down. When it doesn't appear that you're losing, you're supposed to keep your mouth closed.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Charles and Luther.
Charles Kerper is accusing musician Luther Fortenberry of breaking their contract. Luther claims he already paid Charles for his services.
Mr. Kerper, I want you to understand, you're looking at papers. What you're not understanding is, if you are going to modify a written contract, you have to do it with another contract in which there is an offer and an acceptance. He made an offer to you in this. You rejected the offer in your response.
Actually, that email he sent first, he worded it differently, and that's the point.
It doesn't matter. You rejected it.
I rejected the part that included the sale.
Just a second. You can't take pieces of what he says. If you're going to modify a contract which is clear, or as clear as it can be if two lay people write it, and which has been executed and fulfilled by terms of payment, because there was an exchange of cash and goods, which is indicated in here, you have to have a modified contract.
Correct.
This is not a modified contract. He says to you, this is what I'm going to do, and you said to him, I reject it. It's a low ball offer. So we're going to get back to, is there a subsequent modification that says, in addition to the $300 and the camera equipment and the fact that I will refer to you if I refer to anyone when he's singing the song, which I've never heard. I've heard of patter, you know, where somebody talks about patter, and so-and-so wrote the song, and he wrote it when he was mourning the death of his dog. and then sings the song. You know, that's patter. That's what I understand patter is, the chatter before. So if he was going to chatter about who wrote the song, he'd have to say, and the man behind the music is Mr. Music Man. That's all this says. And he's never sold it, and he's never rented it that you can establish.
He has used it in film productions?
He can use it. Your contract doesn't prevent him from using it, sir.
The final, I'm sorry, but the first one I gave you is the final. That was what led up to the...
No, this is a clarification, because you asked, right? And this is your final payment, $300, and camera equipment, because that's what you both agree that you got. There is no modification.
There is, though.
Well, then show me.
On the top line of the final, it says it'll be used exclusively in the Ding Dong Show and nowhere else without permission, and that is what is...
Just a second. It says this agreement gives Luther Barry the right to perform name music in the Ding Dong Show and the promotional video.
Correct.
And?
That's it.
So?
So that is what he's limited to as far as performance.
Okay. And?
And he went and used my music in other productions without consulting me. Okay.
Charles flips through a pile of documents.
I also have lyric sheets showing that...
Listen to me, sir.
Yes.
I've already explained to you what this case is about. It's a contract case.
Okay.
I'm not going to go through contracts 1 and contracts 2. It was painful enough when I went through it the first time, half a century ago.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is you have no modification of a contract unless there's an offer and acceptance. The only 2 contracts you have are here. I absolutely read this, and it says this agreement gives Luther Fortenberry the right to perform music named in the Ding Dong Show and promotional video.
Correct.
That's what it says. You say he used it in other places.
That is correct.
There's no remedy if he uses it in other places. You only have a remedy, sir, if he sells it or rents it. And you're not asking for injunctive relief. There's no action.
I don't know what he did with it, to be honest.
What?
I don't know what he's done. I've asked him for a complete statement of where he's used this
just
and
a
what
second.
payment.
Mr. Carper.
Yes.
You're the plaintiff.
Yes.
It's not his burden. It's your burden. What you're saying is he was limited to using it on one particular program, according to this, and promotional. And he's used it in other places. And I said, put your hand down. When it doesn't appear that you're losing, you're supposed to keep your mouth closed.
Luther zips his lips.
It's your burden to show me that he used it in other places. That's first.
Okay.
Show me.
I can do that. Just, I have the papers. I had it quite orderly before I came into court. And its nerves happen.
You can look for it, sir. I'm just advising you that your action is for breach of contract. That's what you filed. Right now, I have 2 contracts. One contract was fulfilled with the payment of $300 and camera equipment. There is an agreement here, however, that says he can use that music on certain things. It doesn't say exclusively on certain things. He says he can use it on the Ding Dong Show and promotional video. I assume promotional video, if you're inferring what that means, is for the Ding Dong Show. Now, it doesn't say it. If he uses the music someplace other than the Ding Dong Show and promotional video and he gets paid for it, I get a certain amount of money. Your original contract provides for a 75-25 split if the music is rented or sold.
Right.
That's what it provides for.
So when I accepted the payment on the contract, that was with the notion that he was going to give me credit in the future, which he has not done.
Okay, we're done here, Mr. Kerper. It's unfortunate, but you are bound by the terms of this contract. The terms of the contract are absolutely clear. You have one in 2018, and you have one in 2016. The one in 2016 is crystal clear. You're a transcriber, and as a transcriber, you will get 25% if the music is either rented or sold. Subsequently, there was a writing that says you don't want to be known as the transcriber. You want to be known as the music man.
Your Honor, I did not transcribe anything. I wrote the music,
okay.
And that's
Mr.
why
Carper, we're done. You got paid
paper...
$300 for writing the music and camera equipment. We're done. Your case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
Mr. Fortenberry approached me to transcribe a piece of music he...
Well, I'm sorry she had to listen to so many lies.
...presented me as completed, which it was not.
And I'm glad she had something in print, like contracts.
I helped develop the lyrics further and also write the music.
I hoped that he would see the truth.
Well, there's always more songs, isn't there?
And correct his lies.
Sarah.
While I really appreciate that these 2 plaintiff and defendants had a written contract, It's always a risk as a layperson to write a contract yourself. It has to be fully integrated, all the points have to be hit, and one major part that was lacking here was a remedy section. So if the plaintiff is claiming that he deserves some sort of credit or some sort of payment for a show or an exploitation of the song going forward, there needs to be a sentence at least. That's a meeting of the minds as to what's going to happen if that condition is not met. In the future,
because the contract, the second contract in 2018, clearly said he was paid. And he was paid.
He signed it.
And he signed it. He was paid $300 and some camera equipment. The defendant said it was worth $1,500. I don't know whether it was or it wasn't. Anyway, it was inartfully done. You have to give them credit for trying.
Yes.
For trying. You know, they're music people. They're artists.
Yeah. Language and specifics and details is more our forte as lawyers.
More important, it's so frightening that I think I have a memory somewhere back here of the Ding Dong Show. So I'm going in the back now and look up the Ding Dong Show.
Well, I'd like to hear that origin story.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
হিসেবে আসলাম
তাহলে তো
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা হ্যালো
মাশাআল্লাহ 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 হ্যাঁ
আপনি কি লাইভে আছেন
আমি হ্যাঁ যে লাইভ করতেছি আমাকে দেখতে পারতেছ না লাইভ করতেছি তো
লাইভের লিংকটা দিতা একটু দেখে আসতাম
এটাই লিংক লাইভের
আরে আমি আমার ডিসকর্ড লাইভ করতে পারি রেকর্ডিং করতে
সরাসরি লাইভ ডিসকর্ডে লাইভ চলতেছে
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আমি ফেসবুকে ইউটিউবে ওখানে না ঠিক আছে
আমি শুধু ফেসবুকে ইউটিউবে করি না আমি ডিসকর্ডে লাইভ করি শুধু
আরে ধ্বংসাক্তে ব্যাপার সেবার
মানুষ লাইভ করে ফেসবুকে ইউটিউবে আবার আমি ডিসকর্ডে লাইভ করে বেড়াই কি একটা না আসলে এই জিনিসটা খুবই রেয়ার
ভাই মায়া করছে
হ্যাঁ